Economics is like gravity. You may not always see it, but it's always pulling the strings. Let's dive in and make sense of invisible of this course. Good morning, everyone. I, Sonalisha Sahu, Faculty Department of Economics, Manikeshwari University, welcome all the esteemed guests, dignitaries, faculty members, and participants to this highly anticipated national seminar organized by the Department of Economics, Manikeshwari University. Let us commence this prestigious seminar with the inaugural ceremony. To begin, may I request esteemed Vice Chancellor of Manikeshwari University, Dr. Nivedita Nath, to come upon the dais and take the seat. May I request the Chief Guest of Seminar, Professor Kanhaiya Ahuja, Sir, to come upon the dais. Now, I would like to request Professor Uma Shankar Das, Sir, Guest of Honor, to come upon the dais. I would like to request Dr. Uma Charanpati, Sir, Guest of Honor, to come upon the dais. Now, I would request Dr. Dukhabandhu Sahu, Sir, to come upon the dais and take the seat. I request Dr. Chitrasen Bhuye, convener of the seminar, to come upon the dais and take the seat. I, on behalf of University and Department of Economics, extend our heartfelt gratitude for their presence today. To take forward the program, now I request our esteemed dignitaries to come forward for the lighting of the lamp, symbolizing the enlightenment of knowledge and wisdom. officially welcome all the faculties, dignitaries, including Mrs. Das, to this national seminar. As we embark on this momentous occasion, it is our tradition to honor our esteemed dignitaries as a token of our respect and gratitude. Felicitation is not merely a gesture, it symbolizes our appreciation for their valuable contribution to academia and society. To begin, I would like to request the students of Department of Economics to kindly come forward and felicitate our distinguished guests with a sapling and flowers as a mark of our warm welcome.
भाई हे बात नहीं जाओ भाई हे बात भी चल से
Thank you, dear students, for this wonderful gesture. Now, I would like to request our esteemed Vice Chancellor, Dr. Nivedita Nath Madam, to kindly felicitate our chief guest, Professor Kanhaiya Ahuja, with an Uttariya and a beautiful wooden replica of an elephant, crafted locally in the district. Next, I humbly request Honorable Vice to felicitate our guest of honor, Professor Umashankar Das, with an Uttariya and wooden elephant replica. Madam, I would now like to request you to kindly felicitate the keynote speaker of the seminar, Dr. Dukhavantu Sahu, as a token of our deep appreciation for his presence and contribution. Further, I once again request Vice Chancellor Madam to extend the felicitation to our guest of honor, Dr. Uma Charan Pati, with an Uttariya and a wooden elephant replica. Finally, as a gesture of immense respect and admiration, I now invite Shri Simanchal Mishra Sir to felicitate our beloved Vice Chancellor, Dr. Nivedita Nath, with an Uttariya and wooden elephant replica. As we move forward with our inaugural session, it is my privilege to invite some of the key pillars of our esteemed university whose dedication and leadership continue to shape its academic excellence and administrative strength. To begin, I have the honor of inviting the convener of this national seminar and head of the Department of Economics, Dr. Chitrasen Sir, As an esteemed academician and guiding force behind this seminar, your relentless efforts in organizing this event have been truly recommendable. May I now request you to introduce the theme of this seminar and set the stage for today's discussion.
Thank you very much, Sonalisa. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Nivedita Nath, Sri Pitambar Bhoi Sir, Register in Absentia, esteemed chief guest, Professor Kanhaya Ahuja, distinguished guest of honor, Professor Umasankar Das and Mrs. Das, Dr. Umachan Pati Sir and Dr. Dukhabandhu Sahu Sir, respected faculty members, scholars, dear students, esteemed guests, and media persons, and all those who are present in this room, a very warm and heartfelt welcome to each one of you to this national seminar on Viksit Bharat 2047, Odisha's Pathway to Inclusive and Sustainable Development, organized by Department of Economics, Mahamanikeshwar University. It is both an honor and privilege for me to stand before you today as the convener of this seminar to introduce the theme of the conference and deliver the inaugural address. Before I begin, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the visionary leadership and unraveling dedication of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Nivedita Nath Madam. Under your dynamic leadership, academic excellence and institutional growth have been at the forefront of our university's progress. Your commitment to research, innovations and student-centric policies has transformed Mahamanikeshwar University into a vibrant hub of intellectual and academic excellence. Your continuous encouragement and strategic initiative have strengthened our university's academic framework, empowering students and faculty alike. It is under your guidance that we are able to host such knowledge-driven events today, ensuring that our university continues to contribute meaningfully to national and regional development. Ma'am, we are truly grateful for your leadership, and it is an absolute honor to have you here with us today. To set the context of today's seminar, Viksit Bharat 2047, as we approach the centenary of India's independence in 2047, the vision of Viksit Bharat, that is developed India, is not just a dream but a national commitment. The vision is about creating a self-reliant, inclusive, sustainable and globally competitive India. It is about ensuring that every citizen enjoys economic prosperity, social justice and environmental sustainability. Achieving Viksit Bharat 2047 requires a multidimensional approach, one that is driven by strong institutions, technological advancement, human capital development, and inclusive growth. This transformation is not just the responsibility of policymakers, but also of academicians, researchers, industries, and students like all of you who will shape the future of India. And coming to the context of Odisha, as we delivered of this vision, it is essential to recognize Odisha's pivotal role in this journey. Odisha is land of rich cultural heritage, abundant natural resources, and immense economic potential. From its mineral wealth and industrial development to its agriculture, fisheries, and tourism, Odisha has all the ingredients to emerge as the key contributor to India's growth story. However, despite these opportunities, there are challenges such as regional disparities, unemployment, environmental concerns, and the need for robust infrastructure and education reforms remain. The success of Viksit Bharat 2047 will depend on how well we address these challenges and leverage Odisha's strength to build a more inclusive and sustainable future. The key theme for this seminar today are economic growth and institutional development. How can Odisha contribute to India's industrial and service sector growth while ensuring sustainable resource management? Social inclusion and human development. What policies and strategies are required to ensure that growth is equitable and benefit all sections of the society? Environmental sustainability and technological transformations. How can Odisha balance economic development with environmental concern and technological advancement? Through the plenary session, technical sessions and paper presentations, we aim to generate meaningful insight and policy recommendations that can guide Odisha and India towards achieving vision of Viksit Bharat 2047. As we begin this intellectual journey today, I encourage all the participants, academicians, students, policymakers, and all those who are present here to actively engage in the discussion, engage in critical questions, challenges ideas, and contribute a fresh perspective. The future of Odisha and India depends on our ability to think beyond the present innovation, solutions, and collaborative effort. Before I conclude, I take this opportunity to extend my deepest gratitude to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, esteemed speakers, all distinguished guests for taking this time to be here today. A special thanks to my colleague who has made this event happen today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Chitra Singh sir, for your enlightening introduction to the theme of this seminar. Now, it is time to hear from our esteemed guests who insights and expertise will guide us in understanding the vision of Viksit Bharat 2047 and Odisha's role in shaping a sustainable and inclusive future. To begin, I am honored to invite our guest of honor, Professor Uma Shankar Das, to share a few words with us. Sir, as a distinguished scholar and eminent academician, your contributions to the field of economics and policy research have been exemplary. Your valuable perspectives will certainly inspire our gathering today. May I now request you to address the audience, sir?
Honorable Vice Chancellor, distinguished keynote speaker, Professor Sahu, distinguished chief guest, Professor Kanhaiya Kumar, distinguished guest of honor, Professor Pati, and the coordinators of this seminar. I have reserved my comments in the technical session which has been given to me, but to say a few words, this has been a very important point of discussion in the national as well as at the state level regarding the path we followed for a growth-oriented, sustainable development of India, which should be the hallmark of Viksit Bharat 2047. What are the steps to be needed to actualize our potentials? What policy instruments have to be adopted so that growth, equity, sustainability, fiscal prudence, all these important points of economic indicators have to be realized to take the country truly to a developed nation by 2047. That is our challenge. And how one should proceed, what should be the theme of discussion afterwards. These things will be discussed probably in the technical session, but to just reiterate the point which had already been made by me, this is a very interesting and very relevant topic to be discussed in the academic forum, to understand our potentialities and also to see what are the challenges that we face in the process of making Odisha and India a developed country and a state, either by 2036 for Odisha and 2047 for India, and the path that we followed. So I wish that this seminar will definitely throw good light on this aspect. Thank you.
so much, sir, for your thought-provoking insights. Next, I have the privilege of inviting Dr. Umacharan Pati to the podium. Sir, your extensive research and expertise in economic development and public policy have significantly contributed to shaping scholarly discourse in this field. We are eager to hear your perspectives on this important occasion. May I now request you to share your thoughts, sir?
Thank you. Esteemed Vice Chancellor, Madam Dr. Nath, Chief Guest Professor Ahuja, keynote speaker Dr. Sahu from IIT Bhubaneswar, respected Regional Director and a stalwart in economics, Professor Uma Shankar Das sir, Chitra, his student like, respected teachers sitting in front, students, research scholars and participants. Before speaking or talking about the seminar in the inaugural session, let me pay tribute to the great soul of Professor Sanjay Satpathy, the Vice Chancellor, former Vice Chancellor or the founding Vice Chancellor of this university. When I visited 6 or 8 months back to this university, we had a very good discussion on various issues. So I am missing him here. But having said that, there is a famous sloka in the Veda which says, Buddhyame neva siddhanti karjani cha manorathe nahi suptasya singhasya pravishanti mukhe mrugaha. The last line is very interesting. Nahi suptasya singhasya pravishanti mukhe mrugaha. Without efforts and sincere initiatives, no work could be accomplished. Like a sleeping lion cannot expect the deer to come to his mouth. The lion has to go out and hunt to feel it well. So I must appreciate the efforts and the initiatives, steps taken by the School of Economics, Department of Economics of Ma Manikasturi University under the able guidance of the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Nath. I must appreciate the efforts of all the teachers, the students of this university. As Professor Das was telling, this is a very nice topic at the nice time, the appropriate time. So we are here to deliberate on different dimensions of Viksit Bharat and the role of state like Odisha, how Odisha can contribute to the dream of vision of Viksit Bharat. So thank you very much for inviting me. I have a session in the post lunch session. So I am eager to be a part of that session. Thank you very much for the invitation. And I must mention, while felicitating us, Professor Nath was telling that this Uttariya and that elephant, wooden elephant, these things have been the product of this area. The people of artisans, the craftsmen of this area, they have prepared this, and this is basically the foundational basis of a Viksit Bharat. Unless and until we recognize the local talent, the contributions of the local artisans and the craftsmen, we cannot dream of having a Viksit Bharat or Viksit Odisha. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable words. Now, it is my pleasure to invite Dr. Dughabandhu Sahu to the stage. Sir, your pioneering research and deep understanding of sustainable development and economic policies have enriched academia and policy making alike. We are privileged to have you with us today, sir, and we look forward to your valuable words of wisdom.
Thank you, Madam Sahu. Exactly, I don't remember your name, but actually I could recall your surname as Sahu because I myself is Sahu. Respected Vice Chancellor ma'am, Chief Guest Professor Ahuja, my elder brother Professor Pati, and of course I met sir for the first time, Uma Shankar Das, and the young and budding researcher Chitra. friends, faculty members sitting off the dais, and most importantly, my student friends sitting in this room. See, actually, when I was contacted, I think Shiman sir contacted me. Would you like to come to our university for a talk or something like that? Then I couldn't avoid the temptation of coming down to Bharat because of my special liking for the place and some special association with the place. I very gladly agreed. Of course, I'm given a session to discuss on my thought on Viksit Bharat 2047, the pathway for Odisha's SDG Sustainable Development Goals, which I'll be delivering in the afternoon session. But this some 5 minutes time is given, so I don't know what to speak. But for the timing, let me tell you why. Of course, this is the idea. I don't know where they have taken the idea from, but this Viksit Bharat 2047 has been the buzzword around the country since couple of years. 2047 will be turning out as a nation, independent nation, will be turning out to 100 years. Prior to that, 2036, as a state, we will be reaching our, we'll be celebrating our 100th birthday also. So the country dreams to be a developed nation by 2047. Of course, of late we've been very pumped of ourselves, saying that we are the third or fourth biggest. I don't know, I'm a student of economics, I am still not convinced. What does that mean, that we are the third biggest economy in this world or fourth biggest economy of the world, where more than 25% of our population do not get a square meal a day? It's a shame on our face to claim go for such a claim. So I'll just shed some light in my session in the afternoon about what we are thinking of ourselves, where do we stand, and what is expected of us, or what we need to be called as a Viksit Bharat. I don't actually, I'm not that good because I was conceived in Bhavanipatna, born in Angul, raised in a remote place, so I do not know much of Hindi. What is that Viksit Bharat means? If it is developed Bharat, then as a student of economics, I'll just scan through in my radar of economics what that Viksit or developedness means. Where do we stand globally, regionally, and locally? What is expected of all of us? Actually, let's wait for the afternoon session because it will take some time. And once again, thank you, Chitrasena, of course, Simanchal sir, my student also who is a faculty here, Sir, for inviting me for this to this wonderful place to meet you all wonderful people. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your enriching address. Finally, it is a moment of great honor to invite our chief guest, Professor Kanhaiya Ahuja, to address this distinguished gathering. Sir, as an eminent economist and a business scholar, your profound knowledge and leadership in academia have been a guiding light for many. Your insights will undoubtedly add immense value to today's deliberation. May I now request you to take the stage and share your words, sir.
On the dais, we have Honorable Vice Chancellor of this very, very prestigious university, Manikeshwari University. And also we have our fellow speakers, Professor Umacharanji, Professor Uma Shankarji, and we have a keynote speaker, Professor Sahu, Shri Pitambarji, and the convener of this program, Dr. Chitra Sen. But I would like to take one very, very important name who has been a close friend of mine since 2011, and I respect his invitation, Professor Manchal, who has been in touch with me for last 13 years, and he called me, and I was really touched by his call, and I'm feeling so privileged to be here, to be part of this wonderful seminar. And I tell you very frankly, this is a very important topic on which we all are discussing. The researchers are there, the eminent people are there, and it becomes a responsibility for all of us to have a discussion on how India can go ahead. What are the how Indian economy has traveled ever since independence, what are the different interventions which we have seen, and how different indicators and the variables are playing a very important role in our growth process. So this is what we are going to discuss, and at the same time we will also discuss how India has shaped its economy after COVID-19, and now we are the fifth largest economy in the world, and by 2030 we are planning to be the third largest economy by being the 3 trillion economy, and we have a dream that one day in 2047 we would be a developed economy. So we would throw light on different dimensions of our journey of our Indian economy when I had a chance to speak in the plenary session next time. So it's wonderful. I have a great feeling. I'm really touched by the the welcome which I've received from Honorable Vice Chancellor and Professor Simanchal and Chitra Sensor. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, and I really extend gratitude to each one of you for this invite, and I extend my very warm best wishes for this seminar to be a great success. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful words. At the heart of every thriving institution is a visionary leader who guides it towards excellence. Our university has been fortunate to have such a leader in Dr. Nivedita Nath, whose unwavering commitment, dynamic leadership, and relentless efforts have been instrumental in shaping Ma Manikeshwari University into an academically vibrant institution. Under her stewardship, the university has seen remarkable progress in fostering research, innovation, and academic excellence. Her encouragement and steadfast support have inspired both faculty and students to strive for greater achievements, making this institution a hub of knowledge and intellectual growth. It is now my utmost privilege to invite our esteemed Vice Chancellor in charge, Dr. Nivedita Nath, to deliver the presidential address.
Jima Manikeshwari, a very good morning to one and all present here. At the outset, I remember our former Vice Chancellor, beloved Colonel Professor Sanjay Kumar Satpathy sir, on this occasion, esteemed Chief Guest, Professor Kanhaiya Ahuja from Madhya Pradesh, respected Guest of Honor, Professor Uma Shankar Das, Regional Director of Education, Sambalpur, Guest of Honor, Dr. U.C. Patti, Deputy Registrar and HOD Economics, Gangadhar Mehar University, our keynote speaker, Dr. Dukhabandhu Sahu from IIT Bhubaneswar, Madam Das, dear Kasturi, all the registrars, Sri Pitambar Bhoi in absentia, Deputy Registrar, Major Dr. Jaydev Sahu in absentia, Convener, Dr. Chitrasen Bhue, our Bhisma Pitamaha, Simanchal sir, all the invited guests, all the faculties of affiliated colleges, the faculties of Ma Manikeshwari University, research scholars of Manikeshwari University and the Department of English, Department of Economics in particular, all the students, media persons, all other invited speakers, guests, everyone who is present in this room. On behalf of the university, I welcome all of you to this national seminar organized by Department of Economics titled Viksit Bharat 2047, Odisha's Pathways to Inclusive and Sustainable Development. A very interesting topic, a very burning topic in the contemporary time. Last week, we had also a national symposium on role of women in Viksit Bharat on 8th March on the occasion of International Women's Day. I congratulate the whole Department of the whole Department of Economics, the HOD of Economics to take this noble initiative to organize this national seminar because our students are not going to outside to attend seminar or to present papers. So we thought in our university, let us, each department organize such seminars so that our students being here, they'll get the opportunity of attending one seminar and also presenting papers in seminar. That was the whole purpose. That is why I requested all the departments of Ma Manikeshwari University to conduct national seminar at their own level, be it very small, may not be in a very grand way, but let us give the exposure to our research scholars and our students. And the Department of Economics is one of the very active departments of Ma Manikeshwari University. I am proud of Economics Department because in the year 2023, Economics Department organized the annual conference of Odisha Economic Association and it was a grand success. And this year, in the year 2025, they took the initiative to organize this national seminar, and continuously from the month of December, we had our semester examinations, UG 5th semester, UG 4th semester, then UG 3rd, then PG 3rd, PG 1st, then PG 3rd, then again UG 1 as per NEP, and suddenly we started the examination of plus 2 from February 18th. They were waiting since the month of January that ma'am will do one seminar. But we did not get any date because as you know that this is the only university in Odisha where we have from plus 2 to PhD. And they finally Simanchal sir and Chitrasen Dwe sir came that we will do on 16th. Then I told, you see there are 3 days continuous holiday, can you do? And they told, doesn't matter madam, this year we will not celebrate Holi or we will celebrate here. And all students are agree and we will do it on 16th. So I thank all the students, all the faculties because they have sacrificed their holiday and they did it because they determined that we will do one seminar this year. So for this I congratulate the whole Department of Economics. And here I would like to say that we are an infant university and amid all odds being amid, the university was upgraded during the time of Corona and we are facing the lack of appointment of regular faculties. The university has only one non-teaching regular staff and the whole university we have only 15 university faculties and 29 deployed faculties. And rest 84 faculties are guest faculties. Almost all the non-teaching staffs are contractual. Still, the university has tried to achieve its own distinctiveness, its own unique identity amid all these odds, be it Himalayan expedition, be it Uttishtata, the motivational talk series which completed 201 episode last Friday, be it the QR code of trees, be it the Anvesha, the quest for knowledge. Every Saturday we are having one invited lecture series, be it on online or be it on offline mode. And we have taken out the schedule for the whole year. As per they are done, every Saturday the department will organize webinars and invited lectures. So in all the spheres we are trying hard to take the university to a new height. And I thank all the faculties, all the staffs of this university. And my special thanks to Department of English who are taking various initiatives. They are doing field exposure visits. They are also organizing invited lectures physically and sometimes also in online mode to give exposure to our students. And coming to the present topic of today's seminar, that is Viksit Bharat 2047, Odisha's pathways in inclusive and sustainable development. And the whole day will be listening to our very renowned speakers. We have with us Professor Umashankar Das sir. I had the privilege to work with Das sir at Government Women's College Sambalpur, a very renowned academician, a very person with a nice personality, and he has guided me all throughout when I was at Women's College Sambalpur. And we have with us Dr. Pati, who is the Deputy Registrar of GMU, and he is playing a very crucial role in the administration of GMU. We have a very renowned academician, Professor Ahuja, Professor Dukhabandhu Sahu, and it's our pleasure, it's our honor that they all have, given their kind consent. They have come over here from such long distances to our university, just, to enlighten our students. And Odisha is actively contributing to India's vision for Viksit Bharat. and coming, be it in the industrial and economic development, be it in investment promotion, be it in Made in Odisha, Make in Odisha 2025, and also in relating to infrastructure and connectivity, maybe in the case of social empowerment through Subhadra Yojana and Biju Kalyan Swasthya Yojana, and under urban development like gender, Greater Bhubaneswar development, for youth engagement, Viksit Bharat Ambassador, Yuva Connect program, and lot many things are going on, and surely Odisha is going ahead in the path of Viksit Bharat. But at the last, I'd say that Viksit India can only be possible only by Viksit Odisha, and Viksit Odisha is possible by only Viksit Kalahandi, and Viksit Kalahandi is possible only by every family will be Viksit, then only it is possible. So at our own levels, we'll always try to make Kalahandi, make Odisha, and make India Viksit. And we are always promoting Green India. We are always presenting saplings to all our guests, and we are always promoting the local heritage, the local culture of Kalahandi. We have adopted the Habaspuri uniform only to promote the weavers of Kalahandi. And this is a village is there, Khairpadar, where these wooden elephants, wooden Ganesh, and all other wooden crafts are made. We are also promoting that. So Viksit Bharat, Viksit Odisha, and Viksit Kalahandi is possible if all of us will work at our own individual level, and as per our Prime Minister's says that act locally, think globally, but act locally. With this, I once again extend my heartiest thanks to all the resource persons, to all the invited speakers, to all the faculties, to everyone who is present here. And I think this seminar will be a very successful one, and I wish the Department of Economics will grow like anything in the university. Jai Ma Bharati, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. With that inspiring and visionary address by our esteemed Vice Chancellor, Dr. Nivedita Nath, to the conclusion of our inaugural session, her words have truly set the tone for the enriching discussions that will follow throughout the seminar. Before we move forward, it is time to express our gratitude to all those who have contributed to making this session a success. To do this honor, I now have the privilege of inviting Shri Simanchan Mishra sir to deliver the vote of thanks. Sir, may I kindly request you to stay, sir.
Honorable Vice Chancellor Madam Dr. Nivedita Nath, Chief guest of this occasion, Dr. Kanhaiya Ahuja ji, Chief Speaker of this occasion, Dr. Dukhabandhu Sahu ji, our Honorable Guest of Honor, Dr. Uma Shankar Das and Uma Shankar Pati, my colleague and my head of the department, Dr. Chittesan Bhoil, Madam Das in front, delegates, my colleagues, dear student friends. It's my proud privilege so as to extend a formal vote of thanks at the end for the successful completion of this inaugural session. So I thank, first of all, our beloved Vice Chancellor, Madam, for her encouraging words and for her encouragement and for her able leadership, by which we could, it was possible on our part so as to organize such a nice occasion, nice event. Then I thank Dr. Kanhaiya Ahuja ji, who came all the way from Indore, just accepting our invitation on the past instance. So I thank him because he landed yesterday only at Raipur, and he came just reached Kesiga at 9:30, and he is here. I thank Dr. Dukhabandhu Sahu, who came yesterday all the way from Bhubaneswar. He is a faculty from IIT. I thank Dr. Umashankar Das and Umashankar Pati who could make it for this occasion. And I thank all the delegates and all our invited guests and the students. In spite of the 2 days of holidays, still we have a full house. So it definitely is a encouragement for all of us for this. I also thank the media persons who could come, and I thank the Doordarshan and the live streaming sort of thing, and other press people for this. So I thank all for this occasion. I will share this my speech on the Board of Thynks. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now we will take a break of 2 minutes and then resume the program shortly. So our inaugural session is now completed here, and shortly we are going to start our next program, that is opening the plenary session number 1. As we move forward with our seminar, it is now time for plenary session 1, where we will delve into the theme of Viksit Bharat 2047, an ambitious vision of a developed, self-reliant and prosperous India by centenary of its independence. This session will provide us with deep insight into the economic and policy frameworks essential for realizing this goal. We are honored to have with us two eminent scholars who will be sharing these valuable perspectives Professor Kanhaiya Ahuja sir and Professor Umashankar Das sir. May I now request both of our distinguished speakers to kindly take their seats on the dais. To formally introduce our esteemed speakers, I now invite Shri Simanchal Mishra to the podium. Sir, may I kindly request you to take the stage and introduce our guests.
A very good morning and once again welcome you to the first technical session. Before we start this session, I have a small request to all of you that one of our important person, Padma Bhushan awardee, Ramakant Rath, he expired on 16th March 2025. He was born in 30th December 1934. He had a great contribution to our Odia literature. He expired at the age of 91 years. So may I request the House so as to can you have a just pay his homage by a 1 minute silence. Thank you. I have the proud privilege of introducing two economic giants of the first technical session. Professor Kanhaiya Ahuja, Honorable Vice Chancellor Madam Dr. Nivedita Nath, Shri Pitambar Bhoi, Register in Absentia, esteemed Chief Guest Professor Ahuja, distinguished guest, Guest of Honor, Professor Umashankar Das, Dr. Umacharan Pati, and Dr. Dukham Sau, respected faculty members, scholars, dear students, and esteemed guests. It is my honor and privilege to introduce the distinguished academic, researcher, and administrator, Professor Kanhaiya Ahuja, Director of the School of Economics, Devi Ahilya University, Indore. With over 26 years of teaching experience and 31 years of research, Professor Ahuja has made significant contributions to the field of economics and management. His expertise spans over domains including development economics, policy analysis, and corporate relations. Professor Ahuja has completed multiple research projects funded by ICSSR and UGC, authored over 80 research papers and 8 books, and presented his work at more than 80 national and international conferences. His academic leadership is evident in his role as President of Madhya Pradesh Economic Association and Managing Editor of its journal. He also serves as the Executive Council member of the Indian Economic Association, contributing actively to the discourse on economic research and policy. Under his mentorship, 13 research scholars have been awarded with their PhDs, a testament to his commitment to academic excellence and knowledge dissemination. It is an honor to have him with us today. Please join me in welcoming Professor Kanhaiya Ahuja. Introducing Professor Uma Shankar Dasji, it is an honor to introduce a distinguished scholar and academic and administrator, Professor Uma Shankar Das, currently serving as Regional Director of Education, Sambalpur. Professor Das has had a remarkable academic and administrative career, spanning over three decades. An accomplished economist, Professor Das holds an MA in economics and was a gold medalist. He earned his PhD from Sambalpur University in 2011 under the guidance of Professor Sudhanshu Shekhar Ratha. His contribution to research and academia are widely recognized with numerous publications in newspaper and presentations at national and international conferences. He has also organized and participated in various seminars and workshops, sharing his insights on economic policy and development. Beyond research, Professor Das has played a pivotal role in faculty development, serving as a resource person in the refresher course in economic teachers and acting as subject expert in interviews for guest faculties positions at multiple universities, including GM University, Visut, Bulla, and others. He has also been associated with IGNOU and OSOU, Odisha School of Open University, as a resource person, further strengthening the field of economic education. With his vast experience in academia, research and administration, Professor Uma Shankar Das has made inclusive contribution in the field of economics and higher education. It is a privilege to have him with us today. Please join me in welcoming Professor Uma Shankar Das. Thank you.
Thank you, Sri Simanchal Mishra sir, for the wonderful introduction of our esteemed speakers. Now, it is time to begin this session with the insights of our distinguished guests. It is my privilege to first invite Professor Kanhaiya Ahuja to deliver his talk. Sir, with your vast expertise and deep understanding of economic development and policy frameworks, we look forward to your valuable perspectives on Viksit Bharat 2047. May I now request you to take the stage and enlighten us with your address, sir.
Thank you everybody once again, and thanks to everybody. It's a wonderful topic on which I'm going to deliver my talk today. That's how India is going to reach the benchmark of being a Viksit Bharat by 2047. But before that, I would like to present certain statistics before you, and those statistics are very, very important for you all to just have a gaze at that. You know, if we look at the advanced countries in the world, if you look at the overall advanced countries in the world, you'll find that most of the advanced countries in the world are growing at a rate of 2.5%. That is the growth rate of advanced countries. If you look at the emerging markets and the developing nations in the world, they're growing at a rate of 2.7%. If you look at US economy, that is growing, most of the advanced countries in the world, developing countries in the world are growing at a rate of 4.2%. But if you look at the US economy is growing at a rate of 2.7%. China has grown at a rate of 4.8% last year, and this year that's going to dip little down, and that's going to grow at a rate of 4.6%. Most of the European countries which come under the Eurozone, they are growing at a rate of 1%. If you look at the overall global economy, you'll find that the world economy is growing at a rate of 3%, And let's see now where India stands. India is growing at a rate of approximately on an average 6.5%. India is much ahead of all these nations which I mentioned. But the question comes there whether this growth of 6.5% or 6.6%, and what this budget has basically advocated that India would grow at a rate of between 6.3% to 6.8% next year, whether this kind of a growth rate is sustainable or not, that I'm going to raise later on. Now, if you look at Indian economy over the years, ever since independence, we had gone through a very, very rough patches. When India became independence, we had mass poverty, we had agriculture and industry that was in a very, very infancy stage of development. Though most of the population in our country was dependent on agriculture, but the growth rate of agriculture was very, very minimal. And even the literacy rate was very, very low in our country. The population growth was very, very high, 1.3% to 1.4%. Now, over the years, it has come down to 0.88%. So that was a kind of growth rate which India experienced. After that, if you look at the technology, we didn't have technologies at all. We were dependent on most of the advanced countries in the world to have our own technologies. That was the kind of India we had at the time of independence. And when we talk about social sector, education, health, I would not go into the statistics, but that was a very, very poor performance of Indian economy, very, very poor picture at the time of independence. And it was a very, very difficult task for any leadership in the country to bring this kind of economy into the mainstream of development. It was very, very tough. But we adopted planning, 5-year plans, and journey after that, we all know that was the time the first 5-year plan was adopted, the second 5-year plan was adopted. We adopted the model of Harold Domer and Mahalanobis, and later on 65 we had a white revolution in our country. So that is how the journey of Indian economy has been. And around 85, when we reached 1985, we realized that Indian economy was growing at a rate of approximately 3.5%. And we had a very eminent economist from Jaipur, Professor Raj Krishna. He defined this kind of a growth rate as a Hindu growth rate, 3.5% to 4% growth rate. And we were dependent, till 85, 95, we realized that we were dependent more on the foreign funds. We were borrowing a lot of funds from abroad. And to have a pace with this kind of economy, which was mainly dependent upon the borrowed fund, was not an easy task. And there are many students of economics who must be knowing that in order to pay the import bill for the fuel, we went to Bank of England in 89, and Bank of England refused us to pay that little amount of loan, and then we had to mortgage our gold to the bank. That has been the journey of Indian economy. The same India, which was refused to pay a small amount of loan. You won't believe that we are, over the years, last 8-9 years, we are financing the treasury bill of US. So that has been the change in the Indian economy over the years. We adopted economic reforms in 1990. Very briefly, I'm going to this background. In 1991, we adopted economic reforms, and then we became the founder member of WTO in 1985. And WTO was basically designed in order to promote international trade and to have amicable standard of living among the masses across the globe. Then we had second financial reforms in 2002, and that had been the journey. Once upon a time, you must be knowing that a name was given to the growth process of our economy, and that was India shining 2007-2008. This is how Indian economy has grown. But if you look at the last couple of years, the way Indian economy has progressed, and in 2014, when this government came, and we had two very important interventions after that. Demonetization was there, and GST was implemented in our economy. Now, if you look at the parameters, what made this government to implement GST and implement to force the policy of demonetization, there were so many things, so many factors, if we judge these factors in the contemporary world right now, you'll find that maybe they had a vision that they wanted to take Indian economy ahead, they wanted to digitalize Indian economy, they wanted to see Indian economy in a different phase. So that is how the Indian economy has gone over the years. And we had a very, very smooth journey till 2020. That was a very, very difficult time for all of us when we all experienced COVID-19. COVID-19 was a kind of a pandemic, it was a kind of a situation. Normally what happens in a circular flow of economy, either we are going to have demand bottlenecks or either we are going to have supply bottlenecks. This was a situation where economy experienced both the demand bottlenecks as well as the supply bottlenecks. And when we have the combination of both demand bottlenecks and supply bottlenecks, it becomes very, very difficult, very, very tiring for a nation to uplift this kind of economy. Very, very difficult, What happened during COVID-19? All the factories were closed, MSME sector was absolutely at halt, all the industries were closed, so there was no production. So it means supply bottlenecks were at the peak. At the same time, we all were sitting home, we were not earning during that time, we didn't have money in our pockets to spend, so even the demand was at the minimal point. So that was a difficult time for our economy because we had supply bottlenecks and as well as the demand bottlenecks. And here, this was a point where the government realized that no, and one of the important sector which really suffered was the health sector. We all have lost many dear and dear ones during 2021 and 2020 because our health sector was at a very, very, that was badly exposed. We were spending just 1.4% of our GDP on health, and that was very minimal as we compare it with other countries in the world. I remember there are many countries in the world who are spending 18%, 19%, 20% of their GDP on health, and we were just spending 1.4% on our health. And whatever we were spending, the most important point is that, whatever little we were spending, and we were importing our minimal healthcare needs, whether even the it is said even the gloves and other things we were importing from China and other countries. So our health sector was in a very, very bad shape. And immediately, because no country can grow, we cannot dream of becoming a developed nation unless we have a very amicable human capital in our country. It becomes a responsibility of the country that human capital is developed. You should have a proper development. You are the human capital of our country. So human capital is very, very important. And COVID-19 has exposed us very, very badly that health sector was not taken care by any government till that time, and we were badly exposed. And we all know that we have lost many near and dear ones because we didn't have proper infrastructure, we didn't have doctors, we didn't have hospitals, we didn't have nurses, and we didn't have even the basic needs which a patient required. So that was a very, very difficult time. And there came the concept of India becoming a self-reliant, when the government realized that now we have to push a lot of amount of money in the economy, we have to put a lot of capital in the economy, we have to make a lot of investment in the economy, and where the government invested 21 lakhs crore, and that's the Bharat package which was launched by the Prime Minister, and that had been the benchmark. Here India really dreamed. That was the first time when India dreamed that yes, we could be a developed nation by 47. Before that, we didn't dream about that because we were just thinking maybe it was a normal, the way economy used to go ahead. But when COVID-19 came, and that made us realize that this is not the kind of development we have done ever since independence, because we have been growing at a rate of 4%, 5%, and most of our growth was on a borrowed fund from abroad. So this kind of growth is not sustainable. What is sustainability? If I ask you what is sustainability, sustainability has been defined by different economists in different ways. If you look at the United Nations definition of sustainability, that talks about taking care of present generation without compromising the need of future generations. If you look at the World Trade Organizations, how sustainability has been defined, World Trade Organization talks about it's an era of liberalization of trade. It's an era of sustainable agriculture. It's an era of of dealing with the climate change, issues of climate change. These are the different dimensions which have been taken care on a platform of WTO. If you look at World Bank has integrated trade, World Bank has integrated environment, World Bank has integrated growth, and World Bank has integrated social inclusion. World Bank says you can't have sustainability unless you take care of environment. You can't have sustainability unless you take care of trade. You can't have sustainability if you develop the social sector in our economy. So these are the different definitions. And let's go a little ahead. How this labor organization has defined sustainability. They say that no country can have sustainability. No country, whatever they do that, you can't have sustainability unless you take care of the needs of labor force of the country. And what has happened during COVID-19? We have seen workers roaming around on roads without food and without health facilities. So that was, they didn't have a security. You won't believe one worker would work in an industry for 20 years, and once the COVID-19 came, everybody was on the road. They didn't have enough resources in their pocket to suffice their need of food and clothing and the basic needs. So is that you call a development? Is that you call a development in real sense? No, that was not a development. So when we talk about labor organization, they say that sustainability and development goes hand in hand. You can develop only when you make people grow. So the labor force, the workforce has to have a proper means of development. Otherwise, whatever development we do, whatever development we exercise, whatever development we go ahead with, that development would not be sustainable. And what about the corporate world? How does the corporate world define sustainability? Corporate world says that now, if I don't know how many of you have been really emphasizing on or rather putting their heart on this very, very important word, that is social corporate responsibility. It becomes a responsibility of each and every organization to spend some amount of their profits on social sector, on social needs of community. They have to take care of community. So that is social development. That is sustainable development from the angle of corporate houses. So these are the different definitions which have been defined by on different platforms. And if we need to really take care of the need of India, if we want to really take Indian economy ahead, then these are the things which need to be taken care of. Now the question comes, why India needs sustainable development, why India is dreaming of becoming a developed nation by 2047. What are the parameters? What are the dimensions? If we look at the angle of Viksit Bharat is nothing but it's a blueprint of Indian economy for the next 25 years. How Indian economy is going to go ahead. That's a blueprint, and that blueprint can be understood if we focus on these 4 dimensions. Number 1 is the economic prosperity. India needs economic prosperity. If India doesn't have economic prosperity, the dream of becoming a Viksit Bharat would not be able to manage. Another very, very important angle is social prosperity. We need to have all the different parameters of social prosperity, maybe the education, maybe the health, maybe the self-respect of each and every social group. That is very, very important. You cannot grow unless you have a very qualitative education in our country. You cannot grow unless you have a very amicable health system in our economy. So social prosperity is also very, very important. And the third is environmental prosperity. One simple example I would like to present before you all. What has happened if you look at the last 77, 78 years of Indian economy? If I divide different states in different categories of our country, there are many states in the country who has done good in terms of quality of life. They have a wonderful infrastructure. They're growing at a rate of 8%, 9%. But at the same time, there are many states in our country who has not seen growth. They are basically taking care of environment. So there's always been a mismatch between growth and environment. And those states like West Bengal, like Maharashtra, like Gujarat, they are the states who has done good in quality of of life, but they has damaged the environment. So it means that this growth of 7%, 8% or 9% has come at a cost of environment. So this is not sustainable development. If we grow like this, then our dream of becoming a developed nation would not be fulfilled. So what is required? The country needs economic prosperity, country needs social prosperity. At the same time, we also need environmental prosperity. Because if we don't take care of our environment, things will not work the way we want to work with. I'll talk about some other angles of carbon trading, and also after a couple of minutes, I'll talk about green technology and green environment later on. The fourth factor is very important. You know, what India has been going through, if you understand Indian economy very, very closely, or if you understand economic system very, very closely, we don't need government. We don't need government over governance. We need governance. If governance is there, then the system would work perfectly. What is happening in our country is that there are a lot of lactivism, a lot of imposition of policies without taking care, without understanding the need of people. So the time has come when if India has to grow, if India has to go ahead, if India really wants to become a developed nation, then we need more governance as compared to the government. I'm not saying we don't need government. Government is essential for any democratic system to work with, but that government must not intervene at their will. We need more of a governance. If governance is there, the system is going to work with a lot of discipline, and this is what we are required. This is what we require. So these are the four important parameters which need to be taken care of. One is the economic prosperity, another is the social prosperity, third is the environmental prosperity, and fourth is the governance. These are the four areas which are essential for any economy to become a developed nation. Now, what are the areas, why India needs, one question which comes in my mind, why India needs sustainable development, or why India needs to become a developed nation. There's certain angles which I would like to focus on. One of the important area is poverty. If you look at the poverty, though the poverty over the years in numbers has come down, we have raised 1.47 crore or 1.5 crores of people last year. When we measured poverty in terms of multi-dimensional poverty, we have raised them from a strata of multi-dimensional poverty, and we have brought them above the strata of below poverty line. So that had been done last year, but still there are many people, though we have been successful in reducing the poverty, but when it comes to disparities are really killing for all of us. There's a lot of disparity between rich and poor. There are a lot of disparities between urban and rural, and at the same time we find a lot of disparities between man and woman. You cannot grow, you cannot build an economy if you have such a huge disparities. I don't remember the exact number, but whatever little I have, around 70% of our wealth lies in the top 10 to 15% of people in our country. Is that a development we thought at the time of 1947? Is that a kind of India we want to become, developed nation by 2047? No. We need to eliminate these disparities. Whatever are the fruits of development, that should be equally spread. There has to be equity. The development must be equal for everybody, and what we are experiencing over the years, that this development has not been equal. Some people have taken the maximum of resources. How do we define economics? I don't know. Many of you are the student of economics. How do we define economics? Robbins has defined economics in a wonderful manner. He says that we have unlimited wants but limited resources. We have to manage with these limited resources. And what the concept of sustainability is, we have to manage our resources with the whatever little resources we have, but at the same time we have to safeguard our resources, leave resources for the future generations too. So the concept of sustainability has gone one step ahead. We cannot consume our resources because we have money in our pocket, or we have power to do so. No, this kind of development, this kind of governance is going to make your country absolutely poor. No, we don't need this kind of development, and that is why we are talking about sustainable development. Now, what are the changes we have seen over the years? One of the important factors is, I told you, poverty. Another factor, why India needs sustainable development goals is the environment. I have already spoken about that. The growth has been at the cost of environment. There are many hilly tracts in our country who could not till date experience the quality of life. And even the states we would not be able to reach closer to 1947, where we would claim ourselves to be a Viksit Bharat. Another important factor, India is a land which has got a lot of potential. And one of the sector which has experienced when COVID-19 came, MSME sector was the one who also was very badly hit, because most of the industries were closed. And even after COVID-19, when if you observe the performance of MSME sector in our country, you'll observe that MSME sector still needs a lot of money. There's a cash crunch in our economy when we talk about MSME sector. So it's a responsibility of the government to improve, to take care of MSME sector. And that is why 21 lakhs crore package, which was launched by Government of India in 2021, that emphasizes on making manufacturing sector to grow better. Because there are two things which are very, very essential if India wants to become a developed nation. We need to have a refined, sustainable agriculture. We have to make a lot of investment in agriculture. Whatever agriculture we have, I'm going to come on that point later on. But manufacturing has to be taken care of. We have been suffering when it comes to manufacturing. Manufacturing has not been performing to a level which India needs. If India wants to become a developed nation, then manufacturing sector has to play a very, very important role. And that is why this government has been focusing on manufacturing, on MSME sector. What is the share of MSME sector in our economy? If you look at the share, it's around 35%. And it provides employment to around 1.4 crores people. So if you look at these numbers are, we need more of better contribution of MSME, and if we want that MSME sector should perform to a maximum level, then we need capital investment in MSME sector. Another point, if you look at the growth model of Indian economy, you will find that we have been depending upon the public sector. We always thought maybe the government would take care of our needs. If a road has to be constructed, it's a job of a government. If a water has to be brought to your house, it's a responsibility of the government. If a hospital has to be built, it's a responsibility of the government. Now, if we want to be a developed nation, now the role of private investment is a very, very crucial. If you look at the last couple of budgets of Government of India ever since 2021 onwards, you'll find that capex has been playing an important role. Government has realized that without putting money into the system, without capital investment, things would not work at all. And that is why this year the capital investment has been around 11.2 lakhs crore. It is without capital investment, without pushing money into the system, economy would not revive, economy would not perform. And we need bridges, we need infrastructure, we need ports, we need airports, we need all kind of development. And how this development is going to be there, we need a lot of pushing as far as the capital investment is concerned. And how this capital investment is going to come through, we cannot always depend on the government. Government is there, government is very important catalyst, but at the same time, capital investment, now it's a need for private investment to play an important role. Now government, even in this budget, if you have heard Nirmala Sitharaman, you will find that she has focused on public-private partnership. Because public-private partnership is going to play a very, very crucial role, and that is how if India has to go closer to becoming a Viksit Bharat, then the private investment would play a very, very crucial role. Another area which is very, very important is, power sector. We have been spending, we have manufacturing our power over the years, our dependency on fossil fuel. We have been depending a lot of, maximum on fossil fuel. And as we signed the Paris Agreement and we are committed to reduce carbon CO2 by 2040 to 2070. We would like to make, we have already signed a document that we would like to make India a zero carbon country by 2070. So India is committed, and India has been paying a lot of attention on green energy over the years, over the last couple of years. And now, if you look at the statistics, we are making around 47% of our energy needs through renewable energy. One more change which has come in this budget, if you remember, this budget is now coming up with a different it says that now India would fulfill, because India has to develop its manufacturing sector. India has to produce. India has to be a leader in industrial production, and that can only be done if you have enough electricity and affordable electricity. So this year, this budget clearly focuses on one thing, that now India is going to produce electricity through nuclear energy. So that's a big change. Before that, India has never committed, India has never said, India was basically producing energy through solar, through wind, or whatever sources of other renewable energy was that. In this budget, for the first time, we are focusing, or we are talking about nuclear energy. And India has been spending $1 trillion till 2030 to meet our demand for green energy. So India has been spending some handsome amount of money on green energy, because that is very, very important. Another area which is going to make India closer to becoming a developed nation by 2047 is a reflection of government policies over the last 3-4 budgets. If you look at the last 3-4 budgets, you'll observe that government has been spending huge amount of funds on technology. We never used to pay attention to the technology. We thought technology would not really play an important role. But after 2017-18, or rather 14-15, you'll observe that government is paying a lot of attention on technology. Digitalization is an outcome of that, We have been spending huge amount of funds on technology, because the next model of growth, whatever, if India has to really go ahead, the next model of economic growth would be integration of technology with the growth. We cannot eliminate technology. Technology would play a very, very crucial role. And India is committed. India is now committed that yes, and that is why if you look at the last couple of budgets, we are spending handsome amount of funds on technology. Have you ever thought India would spend funds on R&D? No. We never used to bother about research and development. But now India is spending some handsome amount of funds on research and development, because that is very important. And we realize that if we want to become a developed nation by 2047, then we need to push a lot of amount of funding in research and development, because research and development is going to build a better India. Research and development is going to build a very strong India. Another sector which is very, very important, if you look at the last couple of budgets, you'll find that government is focusing on startups. Government is focusing on incubation centers. That is very essential. Very, very essential. If manufacturing sector has to grow, if a manufacturing sector has to play a very conducive role in our growth model, then we have to have a lot of incubation centers. We need to push a lot of startups or enterprises, and that is why if you look at the current budget or the last couple of budgets, you'll observe that government is paying a lot of attention on enterprise development. This budget, if you observe very closely, government has welcomed those women enterprises who are going to be the first time they are entering into the entrepreneurship, and if they seek loan, the government is going to offer them 2 crores of loan very easily. So that is the kind of pushing, that is the kind of vision the government is having. We might have interventions right now. We might say that it's a very, very difficult path, but the government efforts are very, very visible there. Another factor is the youth. Youth and women, they are going to play an important role. If you look at the population-wise, women and man both are equally positioned. They have equal number of share as far as the population is concerned. But look at the labor participation rate of women in our country. That's very low as compared to man. So we need to promote, we need to motivate, we need to provide all kind of assistance to women, because they are an important pillar of our growth. Man cannot build a developed nation alone. If we are thinking in that way, we are making a mistake. Women has to play an important role. Females have to equally contribute in our growth process, and that is why in the last couple of budgets you'll observe that government has been paying a lot of attention on these parameters. That yes, women has a role to play. Let's enhance the work participation rate in our growth, and they can play a very crucial role. Youth has got a huge role to play. You know, India feels so proud. We feel so proud that we say that we have a demographic dividend in our country. Demographic dividend means educated youth. We have the number of youth in our country is the share of youth in our population is much higher as compared to other countries in the world, and we feel so proud that we have a demographic dividend. The median age of our youth is, median age of India is around 29 years, where the median age of population of US is around 41 years. China is 42 years. It means when other countries in the world are growing older, India still stands as a young country. But this should not remain a myth. We should not, overestimate this. We might have a huge population and we might have a substantial demographic dividend in our country, but this youth would be maybe a liability on the country if we don't inculcate the right kind of skills among our youth. So skill development is very important. If you look at the last 7-8 years back, if you look at the skill development report of Government of India, that was disappointing. They have taken a survey of around 1 lakh MBAs or 1 lakh engineering student, and only 134 of them were found to be employable. But now situation is becoming better. Government is paying a lot of attention that now in this budget they have come out with the 5 excellent centers for skill development. Now government has realized that if India has to grow, if India has to build a very strong economy by 2047, then skill development would be a biggest milestone, biggest catalyst. Because without skill development, youth, women, any section of society would not be able to perform. And now skills are changing. 15 years back, 10 years back, what was the skill needed? आपको कंप्यूटर आता है कि नहीं आता है? Now these skills are not required. We need more skills. Now AI has come, machine learning has come. So we need different kind of skills, and we need to inculcate our youth with the right kind of skills, because they become employable in industry. They start their own enterprises, and they play a very important role in our growth process. So skill development is a very important aspect. And last budget, if you look at the last budget, you'll observe that not last budget, but couple of years, I mean, ever since this COVID-19 came, we are focusing a substantial amount of concentration on skill development, and government this budget has really earmarked 5 excellent centers for skill development. So this is another area. Now, very important, more than 50% of our population, even after 77 years of independence, depends upon agriculture. Where do we stand in terms of agriculture? Agriculture, the share of agriculture is the minimal. If you look at the share of agriculture in our GDP is very low. That's very alarming for all of us. And where 50% of population, more than 50% of population depends upon agriculture. Agriculture has gone through a very bad phase. If you look at the farmers' society in our country, I'm going to give a very important input to you all. If you look at the farmers' society in our country, earlier you'll find the farmer would commit a suicide because he would have a crop failure. He won't have the right kind of pesticides. He won't have seeds. He would die. He would die because there was a crop failure. But over the last couple of years, farmers' suicide is due to the reason of market failure. Market failure means when a farmer harvests his crops, he takes his crop to the mandis. Mandis do not offer him the right kind of price. And as the mandis do not offer him the right kind of price, what he has to do? He's been left with no other option but to throw away his crop on the roads outside the mandis. So that's the scenario.
So market failure is causing a lot of unrest among the farmers, and lack of proper market system in our country is the cause that we don't have farmers unrest are there. It means agriculture sector needs a lot of investments. Agriculture sector needs a lot of investment in building its storage capacity, in building its in building processing units. I come from Indore, I come from Indore, I come from Madhya Pradesh, and Madhya Pradesh has been awarded the seventh in a row, 7 times in a row, the best producing states in the country, Krishi Karmat Award. But there's a lot of unrest because of the kind of price which the farmer desires, they have not been able to get that price. We don't have processing units in our Madhya Pradesh. Similarly, the case that most of the states in our country do not have processing units. And this is the time, what WTO is talking about, WTO is talking about sustainable development. If we need sustainable agriculture, if you look at the groundwater level in our country, most of the states in our country, you'll find that groundwater level has gone down 600 feet, 700 feet. It means that we are extracting more from ground rather than throwing water under the ground. It means we need a mechanism for rainwater harvesting, we need mechanism for saving water. Similarly, we need a lot of investment when it comes to processing units. So agriculture sector needs a lot of fund for all these things. If we don't really invest in agriculture sector, now government has realized. Earlier, government used to think that agriculture sector is a domain of government. No. Now, government realizes that we need a lot of fund, we need a lot of investment, and that investment, the need for investment cannot be fulfilled only through public investment. The government has realized that no, we are going to build processing units, we are going to build a lot of storage units in our country with the help of public-private participation. So if India is thinking, India is dreaming of becoming a developed nation by 2047, then we need a lot of changes, a lot of policy transformation in agriculture sector, and that show that this year budget has a reflection of that. If I don't know how many of you has really focused on that budget this time, if you remember, government is focusing on 100 low productivity areas, districts. It means government is focusing on enhancement of productivity. Earlier we used to focus on production, but this budget has been focusing on enhancements of productivity of cotton crops, of many other crops in the country. So, and government is also focusing on food processing units. So that's a big positive change as far as the government is concerned, and that's I think a very positive step as far as the government is concerned. So these are some of the issues I feel that which needs to be taken care of. Another sector which plays an important role is the export sector. We are not performing. Our performance as for the export sector is concerned is still not very encouraging. There are so many factors which are responsible. Ease of doing business, some issue. Ease of doing business is one area which makes India a little uncomfortable every time. Though we have slightly improved, but still that ease of doing business, we are very, very far behind. So India need to, if we really want to enhance our capabilities, over the last couple of years, government is focusing on building import potential. What actually we mean by import potential? That we are in a position to say no to the other countries when they try to throw their products in our country. So India is building that capacity. We can say no to the other countries, and that is true by strengthening our Make in India plan, Make in India strategy. So Make in India is one aspect which is going to play an important role. I'm not saying Swadeshi is altogether different concept, but Make in India means strengthening our own capabilities, strengthening our own competencies so that we go ahead very, very strongly. Now, another area which is very, very important in education. I don't know, I'm not here to criticize, I'm not here to focus on NEP, but there's a lot of confusion I've seen across states when it talks about NEP, and maybe in the coming years, maybe next couple of years we would have a clarity on that. And but our focus, one thing is very clear, this government has been focusing on enhancement of gross enrollment ratio. My personal say is that what is more important, gross enrollment ratio or the quality of education? Quality of education, I think, is more important as compared to the gross enrollment ratio. If we are imparting education through online, if we are imparting education through digital mode, fine, that's wonderful. That's going to enhance our gross enrollment ratio. But what about the quality of education? That's going to play an important role. We might talk about multidisciplinary, we might talk about transdisciplinary approach, but its practical approach is not so easy. It's not so easy. So my personal comments on that is that yes, we need to enhance the quality of education. Quality of education is going to play an important role. And when we count Indian universities across the global list, it becomes a lot of shame to us that we don't stand anywhere. So I think this is one area where we need to really also focus on that. Yes, if we want to become a developed nation in coming years, then this is one area which we need to we need to have emphasis on. Now, what is the possibility? Yes, I tell you very frankly, we have a possibility because we have a huge amount of youth, huge numbers of youth. Yes, we have a youth which can play an important role. Women are going to play an important role. Farmers are going to play an important role, and we have substantial forex with us. We have good production of agriculture crops. We can suffice the need of our country for the next 1.5 years. So these are the things which are very positive, and I am hopeful if all the things are implemented in a better way, then I think the dream of reaching India, making India a developed nation would be a very it's not too far, and I am hopeful that by 2047, India would be very close to that benchmark of becoming a developed nation. Thank you so much. There are many more points, taxation, fiscal taxation adds up. So, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful and thought-provoking address. Your words have truly set the stage for deeper discussions on India's development trajectory. The floor will be open for Q&A session soon after this. Next, it is my honor to invite Professor Umashankar Das to share his thoughts with us. Sir, your extensive research and vast academic contributions in the field of economics and sustainable development make your insights highly valuable for this discourse. May I now request you to take the stage and deliver your talk, sir.
Thank you. I must thank at the outset Professor Ahuja for so comprehensively touching all aspects of Viksit India, and so nicely also. And I'm afraid I have anything more to add on to that aspect. Anyway, since I am given an opportunity to speak my mind on this very important topic, which is very relevant for all of us, Viksit India or Viksit Bharat 2047, I need to share my views to this august audience. In 2013, two economists, Jagdish Bhagawati and Arvind Panegaria, wrote a fascinating book, Why Growth Matters. In the same year, in 2013 again, two leading development economists of India, Professor Amartya Sen and Jan Reich, wrote another book which was equally engrossing, An Uncertain Glory, India and its Contradictions. While talking about Viksit Bharat at the rate of 2047, I think these two books are pertinent to this analysis which will be done by me partially. Now, why growth matters? Growth is important. We learned it from the East Asian miracle in 1987. We learned it from the way China leapfrogged into a developed or medium-term economies for long 30 years of double-digit growth. Now, it is also true that these countries, through growth, have successfully reduced the poverty level and also had very important developed indices in the social sectors. So if the economy will grow by a double digit, then it is possible for the state to embark on social development. There is a rule in finance, that is T is equal to 72 by G. T is time, G is growth rate. Now if the economy will grow by 8%, that is on a sustained basis, then it will take 9 years, 72 by 8 is 9 years, to double itself. India's economy at this stage is $3.89 trillion. If we approximate it to $4 trillion, then after 9 years, from the last year 20,000 to 4, say 2033, the income will become $8 trillion. And if the economy will grow again by same 8%, it will take another 9 years, 2041. So that is the success story. That if the economy can consistently grow at the rate of 8 to 9% per annum, then there is every possibility that by 2047, as the Niti Aayog estimates, we can come to a $30 trillion economy. Now look at Japan. Japan is a $4.1 trillion economy. Look at Germany. Germany is a $4.7 trillion economy. Now, when we will grow, they will also grow accordingly? No. Sir has already pointed out the countries, developed countries' growth is 2 to 3% per annum. Whereas India's projected growth rate, now India is growing at the rate of 6 to 6.5% per annum. So if it can sustain its growth to 8%, there is every possibility India will catch up with the developed countries of the world in terms of GDP, not in terms of per capita income. That is another story. So if we talk simply in terms of GDP, gross domestic product, a consistent growth rate of 8 to 9% will take us to nearly $30 trillion economy by 2047. Now come to Odisha. Odisha's growth rate on an average is more than the growth rate of India. During the last decade, Odisha has been consistently growing by 7 to 7.5% per annum. So there is enormous potentialities for the state to grow further ahead if proper policies will be implemented. Now the question is, Odisha's per capita income in rupee terms is 1,88,000 rupees. India's per capita income is 2 lakh rupees per annum. So that is per capita income. So there is a closing gap between the per capita income of Odisha and per capita income of India. And why this is possible? Because while the Odisha economy is growing at the rate of 7 to 7.5% per annum, Indian economy is sliding behind. So there is therefore hope that Odisha will definitely do better than average in near future. Second point, Odisha and India both have got tremendous working population. Working population is defined the age between 15 to 64 years. Now the median age of the Indian worker is 28 years. And they constitute nearly 68% of the total population of India, and in Odisha it is 69%. So we have a huge demographic dividend, and the dependency ratio is very less in India and also in Odisha. Now if we can successfully try to leverage these benefits in our favor, then definitely we will be able to achieve the targeted goal of a Viksit Odisha or a Viksit Bharat. Just see how growth has helped. As I told you, growth has helped China, growth has helped East Asian economies, and growth has helped many erstwhile developed countries of today which were underdeveloped in the 19th century. They have been developed only because of sustained growth in their economies. But if Odisha or India will grow continuously by 7 to 8%, then what will be the result? The result is the multi-dimensional poverty index in case of Odisha is now less than 15%. In case of India, it is 11.28%. Odisha is lagging behind in the multi-dimensional poverty index, true. But in 2013, when Amartya Sen wrote the book with Jandris, the Odisha's poverty was mentioned as 63% as per 2004-05 data. So from 2004-05 to 2024-25, we have successfully reduced poverty from 63% to now less than 15%. And remember, this is not simply poverty, this is the multi-dimensional poverty index, which takes into account both the head count ratio and also the intensity of poverty. It is no mean achievement. Growth has always been capable of reducing poverty around the world, and India is not an exception. Odisha is also not an exception to this rule. So growth is therefore important for Odisha to become a Viksit Odisha, if not by 2036, but definitely by 2047. Look at the Human Development Index. I don't want to cloud your minds with statistics, but look at the Human Development Index. In Human Development Index also, Odisha's SDI is 0.64 compared to India's 0.66 probably. So again, the gap is closing down. So the point therefore is that the state can do better if the economy prospers in terms of its growth. There is a concept called state capacity. The state capacity means what is the capacity of a state to take redistributive measures for the poor and the undernourished sections of the society. According to Niti Aayog report, the fiscal health index, they calculate taking certain components, the fiscal health index, according to Niti Aayog, Odisha is the #1 state. So Odisha has been able to manage its fiscal position in a very prudent manner. Odisha has been complying since 2005. The FRBM Act, Odisha has been maintaining surplus on the revenue account for long periods, and Odisha's fiscal deficit is only 3.4% within the target set by the Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act. Once your budget health is in order, once your fisc is in abundance so that you can spend the money for others, then the second thing follows. As for the Niti Aayog report also, Odisha has been the best among 5 states in this country to significantly reduce poverty in the state. So that has become possible. Amartya Sen and Drees also realized the same thing, that a state can do better if it can have more resources. You know what is fiscal deficit ratio? A fiscal deficit ratio is FD by GDP or SDGDP. Now this will be reduced. Either you cut your expenses, numerator will be down, or you increase your gross domestic product, your denominator will be up. So these are the 2 ways by which you can reduce your fiscal deficit. Now Odisha, being a successful state, has tried the latter. It has consistently focused on growth aspects so as to give the state capacity to undertake programs for the social sectors. Now the next point is, if growth is important, what are the sectors where one has to focus on? There are 3 important sectors: agriculture and allied sectors, manufacturing industry sector, and the service sector. Now if you look at agriculture, both at the state level as well as at the national level, the growth rate is 3.3 to 3.5%, which Raj Krishna calls Hindu rate of growth. So agriculture is suffering from Hindu rate of growth for long periods in the state as well as in the national level. So there must be a comprehensive midterm policy to increase the productivity of agriculture. At the same time, there must be a policy to absorb the extra population in the nearby industries. Government has been taking steps. PM internship is one important step. Aspirational district program is another important step. Government has been initiating these steps. But if you ask what should be the immediate area of concern, that is whether to invest in the manufacturing sector or to invest in the service sector. Now, in case of manufacturing, if you look at the Make in India program, or if you look at the Atmanirbhar Bharat program, they wanted to make India a manufacturing hub. But sadly, that is not worked for India. India's manufacturing sector at the national level is growing at the rate of 4 to 5%, and its contribution is less than 17%. Whereas for an effective presence in the world, it has to be at least 25% of the GDP, which is not possible at this point in India. And why it is not possible? Because the global climate has become too restrictive due to the strong protectionist measures adopted by the countries, and also because of the deglobalization words from the developed countries, we are not able to reap the benefits as China reaped the benefits long ago. In fact, the path of development should be first from the agriculture to low-skilled manufacturing, then high-skilled manufacturing, then you go to the service sector. Now, India has somehow missed the path in between. India could not focus its attention on the manufacturing sector seriously, which China did under Deng Xiaoping. So China is now a manufacturing colossus. World's 45% of manufacturing is done in China. So the question is whether India will be able to compete with the Chinese market and also the emerging markets like Vietnam, like Mexico, like Bangladesh. We are finding it difficult because our logistic costs are very high compared to them. So where is the option then? Rohit Lamba and Raghuram Rajan, they gave another alternative. And what is the alternative? The alternative they wrote in a book, Breaking the Mold, re-envisioning India's economic future. Now what is that? Both writers said that the world market has become too much restrictive and India's manufacturing sector is not able to compete with the global market. So there is another option left for India. India has a huge workforce and India's workforce is India's asset. Now, instead of focusing on manufacturing, if we focus on other aspects, services, then we might get a big slice from the global trade. They have tried to explain that concept in the phrase called the smiling curve. What is the smiling curve? To give one example, they said, look at the iPhone. Apple is a $3 trillion company. Foxconn is a $50 billion company. Apple does not manufacture any iPhone. Foxconn is a Taiwanese company which manufactures iPhone in the Chinese markets. But the market size of Apple is 60 times greater or bigger than Foxconn. The market capitalization of Apple is 60 times more than that of Foxconn, though Apple does not manufacture any of iPhone. So what therefore they want to say, in the smiling curve, at the early stage of production, the conception of the product, the design of the product, research and development that has to be undertaken for taking the project into the material form, these are important. And once the product is produced by Foxconn company, manufactured, you give the ideas to that company, the company will manufacture the product as per the ideas. Then secondly, that has to be sold in the market. The sales strategy. the marketing strategy, the advertising strategy. These are another area which lies at the other end of the smile. So from the first to the last, there is value addition. But in the middle, the value addition is minimal. Therefore, instead of focusing on the manufacturing of the products, why not we think of utilizing our tremendous source of human energy, human resources, so that we can also grow like other developed countries. That is another important area of thought which needs to be thought seriously in the academic cycle. Now come to Odisha. Odisha has a better prospect. Odisha's manufacturing sector, the gross value addition to the manufacturing, that how much output it creates to the gross value addition or total output of the state is 27%. So in that sense, Odisha's situation is much better compared to the national average. Odisha has a rich source of mining, minerals, metals, etc. And Odisha's working population is also more compared to, in terms of percentage, 69% compared to the national average. So we can look in both ways. We can focus our attention on the manufacturing sector. We can also try to build our skills in the IT, tourism, hotel, industry sectors. These two sectors combinedly we can work and make Odisha prosperous. Now, the last point which I want to mention here, look at all the indices, health and education. Remember, growth is a necessary condition for human development. It is not the sufficient condition. But unless you have growth, you cannot deliver. You means the state cannot deliver. Now, if you look at the social indicators like health and education, you look at IMR, you look at MMR, you look at mortality rate in general, you look at your hospital out-of-pocket expenses, any social indicator you take on health front. Similarly, you take on education front, literacy, higher education, primary education, secondary education, anything, you will find Odisha has been doing consistently better. Don't compare Odisha with other developed countries of the world at this point. Don't compare Odisha suddenly with other developed countries of the world. Compare with the national average, and you'll find that the gap between the national average on social indicators and Odisha's contribution has been narrowing down. Though Odisha is a bit less in that position. Look at Kerala, for example. Kerala has a better per capita income, better human development, but Kerala is financially crippled. Kerala government is not able to pay salary to its employees. So unless you make your finance capable, unless you become fiscally capable, you cannot deliver your resources to the people. Therefore, in my mind, one, there must be a sustained growth for Odisha, and for that, focus must be made either on manufacturing or in the service sector. And secondly, Odisha must spend its resources judiciously for the development of the social sector to make the economy healthy, wealthy, and capable to face the challenges and to have our aspirations true for a Viksit Odisha and a Viksit Bharat in 2047. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the wonderful and insightful address. As we are now running out of the time, so now we will formally extend our gratitude to our esteemed speakers and dignitaries. I would like to invite Sri Simanchal Mishra sir to deliver the vote of thanks. Sir, may I kindly request you to take the stage.
Thank you, Shri. It is indeed a very digressing and very enlightening session. So, at the end of the session, I would like to thank Professor Kanhaiya Ahuja for his insightful deliberation on the issues relating to India and the Viksit Bharat in terms of in Indians say concern. And I must thank Dr. Umashankar Das for his deliberation on Odisha context. So possibly once we see that unless until the state will develop, the nation cannot develop, as it was been mentioned by our madam in the beginning. So I extend my heartfelt thanks to both the speakers. Possibly with your deliberation, possibly all the students must have been benefited by that. So I thank you again.
Thank you, sir, for your heartfelt words of appreciation. With this, we move forward to the next segment of our seminar. With the conclusion of our enlightening plenary session, we will now be moving forward to technical session 1, which will commence shortly. This session will feature insightful paper presentation that delve deeper into various aspects of Viksit Bharat 2047 and Odisha's pathways to inclusive and sustainable development. I kindly request our student volunteers to prompt arrange the PPT presentation and ensure that all the technical setups are in place at the earliest. Presenters are also requested to be ready with the materials as we begin shortly. Meanwhile, as we are now set to begin technical session 1, it is my privilege to invite the esteemed chairperson Dr. R.K. Mahana, Associate Professor, Department of Anthropology, and co-chairperson Mr. Chodaganga Sahu, Assistant Professor, Department of Economics, to kindly take their seats on the dais and preside over the session.
हैंड ओवर कर दो महाना साहब ही विल इनवाइट एवरीथिंग है स्पीकर मानू ताना चेंज हो किसी तुमने Just request Manas to carry forward the session.
As we are now set to begin technical session 1, it is my privilege to invite the esteemed chairperson, Dr. R.K. Mahana, Associate Professor, Department of Anthropology, to please chair the session.
Good afternoon, friends. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Nivedita Nath, esteemed invited speakers, keynote speaker, and speakers of this day, my dear scholars and students. In this technical session, we have three important papers. I invite Dr. Ghanshyam Sahu, Assistant Professor, College of Teacher Education, Bhavanipatna, to the dais. Dr. Sujit Pradhan, Assistant Professor, NSCB College, Sambalpur, to the dais. Mr. Manas Ranjan Naik, Lecturer in Economics, Panchayat College, Dharamagad, to the dais. And with this, I would request all the presenters, because of shortage of time, will take 10 minutes each, followed by question answer session. Please come to the dais. So I would request also Ghanshyam Sahu sir to make the presentation first.
Thank you, Mahana sir. The topic that I have chosen today for this national seminar is one of the emerging topics that we have already discussed. In the first session, we have discussed more on about the women, youth, and all formal sectors, the labor force. But three major sectors that has been neglected over a period of time, that is three major target group that are primarily talking about the transgender, the disabled, and the elderly population. So my topic is the Viksit Bharat 2024, an inclusive and sustainable social policy for Odisha diversely elderly populations. Next, please. So, as you know, if you go through the data of the International Institute of Population Study, as of now, the 1.1 billion elderly populations are there in the world, which is expected to reach by 2025, it goes to almost double by 22%. The situation is similar in case of India, which is expected to increase by 20.8%, and in Odisha also, you can see that the 14% elderly population is expected to increase to 20%. So you can say that there are huge growth of elderly populations across the world, India and including Odisha. So this is one of the priority area in Viksit Odisha, and priority will consider the average 4 districts are growing the huge elderly population, including Kendrapada, Jagatsinghpur, Bargarh and Nayagarh district, because it exceeding the national and the state average. Next. So we see the scenario, what is the present policy, the social policy of India and Odisha, and how these policies are performing today. You will see in healthcare, insurance and social inclusion, in crime and in terms of economic and pension support, those there are huge progress over a period of time, but primarily these policies are not up to more inclusive and cohesive due to the poor implementation of the policies, and already in the first half it has already focused on how the governance plays an important role. So we see because if we say the ineffective governance policies, those the policies are good, but due to implementation process, the healthcare facility, crime and economic policies are not reaching to the elderly populations. Next, please. So we have conducted a study and on three primary objectives. What are the new policy of the evolving Odisha, and how these policies are evolving, and what are the major issues, and how the foundational framework can be provided to, as the government is planning for the new you know, the elderly policy 2025. So based on that, it was a part of the International Institute of Public Policy, population study. So it is a part of that study. Next, please. So we have used a mixed method design, purely focusing on two major districts, Kendrapada in the eastern belt and Bharat in the eastern west district. There are some mistakes. And sampling process, we have taken the multi-step random sampling by taking the database of the grievance, database of the CM grievance cell. And we have taken 300 elderly populations, those including 248 from more than 60 years and 52 population from more than 80 years. And we have collected the each and every individual, those who have enlisted in the database, and use as you are submitting the report to the government. So make the analytical process as simple as possible by only using the simple percentage and chi-square only. Next, please. So we see a very interesting pictures. This study come out with very interesting picture. The socioeconomic distress in the rural area. We have divided the rural and urban area and to try to identify what are the dynamics are there in rural and urban area. More than 60% are not aware about the right and entitlement for the elderly population. Though there are huge potential, huge entitlement scopes are there, but still 60% are peoples are unaware about the entitlement. They are only entitled, they are only aware about talks about the pension, but other facilities that are government is extending, they are not well aware. Second thing is primarily the healthcare, income and access to food are the major challenges for the elderly population across all targeted sample. Next. Second thing is if you see, the rural area has a different dynamic. When it comes to the urban area, it has a different dynamic. 80% of the elderly population in urban area live in nuclear family structure, and primarily that is the region of the loneliness and mental health challenges. So there are huge dividends in the rural and urban approach of the government and how these peoples are thinking about with respect to the mental health. As you know, the lack of social supports are there, the feeling of loneliness in the urban area. So broadly you can conclude, if we see the next please. These are how these mental health issues and loneliness in the urban area, prime major regions of the urban loneliness. Next, please. And most important thing is about the gender disparity. You will see the women the women elderly population are more, the more sensitive and they are more vulnerable compared to the male population. As you know that only 64% are not aware, 52% females are not they have better social security facility. So male members have more social security facility compared to the women. Second thing, the psychosocial challenges are major issues for the women, because you know that because the restriction and the social mobility is very restricted for the women. So but male have somehow some accessibility to the outer world. So that is the major reasons of the loneliness among the women. An important thing is living condition. You will see the insufficient food affects the more the female. Compared to that, the elderly female require the more and more nutritious foods, but the accessibility to the nutritious food is very, very negligible. As they are good elder, so there are also issues related to their, you can say the sons and their daughter-in-laws are not that much of providing sufficient food to them. So that is very interesting figure that you have come out. So broadly we will conclude with the summary findings is that, next please, the rural socio-economic distress and the urban isolation will the gender disparity are the key challenges that are impacting the well-being of the senior citizen in Odisha. So in broadly you can say, conclude in the one sentence that we see that urban isolation, urban loneliness along with socio-economic distress in the rural area is primary concerns of the elderly population, where gender disparity is very high and women is more vulnerable in this dimension. We will come to we have come out with some policy suggestions to next please. So most important thing is that Odisha government do not have a disaggregate data how the elderly population about their age, gender and income. So it is the first time we have tried a study at the ground level, primary level, and we understand that the more focusing on the livelihood in the rural area and emotional counseling center in urban area are more important, and primarily focusing on the access to the psychosocial support and income generation activity to particularly those who are more than 60 years, and that is particularly primarily for the women folk. And important thing is the mental health, and you know the social system is primarily important. So there should be integrated in all the isolation center and urban hub centers are important. Infrastructure health support is primarily important. So government should come out with a district level complex for elderly and those who are poor access to the healthcare facility, because now they are moving to multiple departments. So there should be a single window, the facility center where the elderly populations can access to all these facilities, and this infrastructure should be established at the district level. And most important thing is that, as you know that now whether you're talking about the Mission Shakti or whether you're talking about the Subhadra Shakti, whatever it may be, but women plays a very important role to channelize all these activities. So part-time facilities, part-time work facilities should be given to the retired person, and particularly the SHG platform should be one of the important platforms to sensitize the women about their elderly population. And this is all about our primary study. Thank you.
So the floor is open for questions. If you have quick questions, then please.
Criteria for the selection of the sample and what you have a mic, please.
Yeah. See, we have selected the government database. Whatever the complaint has been registered in the CM portal, we have taken those populations. And second thing criteria is that we have divided the population two parts. Those who have attained the 60 and over the 80s. So to identify what are the differences are there in that dimension. So corely the government database that you have utilized, and out of more than 750 cases were registered, but we have only reached up to 300 population, because few elderly population, they are not volunteers to provide the data. So based on our accessibilities, we have only taken 300 samples out of the 750 and around 752.
Based on secondary data?
Yes, secondary data, but all other information are collected at the primary field. But the sample selection based on the CM database, advanced database.
Second question.
Previous two experts, Mr. Ahuja and Das, they will, in fact, everybody in India is very ecstatic about our remote dividend and lower dependency ratio. But we cannot do anything about the age group below 15. Age group above 65 will definitely increase the dependency ratio, for which we require resources. One way, because see, others are saying कि हमारा youth population ज़्यादा है, साथ बोले कि दूसरे सेक्टर को बोले कि हमारा dependency ratio कम है, dependency ratio का मतलब 65 से ज़्यादा है, इसीलिए हम खुश हैं, है ना? मतलब India is talking here, is cheering for such a situation. How to get resources and what are the socio-cultural changes that has led to a situation where you have to think like this in a land where you worship our elders. Loneliness, yes. Even for a nationality, what can be done? एक तो policy level पे we are happy कि हमारा youth अधिकार है. जो तौले छोटे छुआ आई बच्चे खेलने वाले जो बॉल लगे था ताकि लोनेलिनेस का होता है सेटा भी और नहीं है तो मोबाइल से हम लगे ये मुझे चीज
Thank you, sir, for raising this pertinent questions to me, because as you know that when we are discussing about what policy implication could be for this study, so two things important suggestions that come out through this policy research. First thing, the intergenerational linkage is more important. But talking about there are orphanages are there, we can say there are orphanages are there, and there are we can say old age home is there. So can there be a possibility solution where the orphanage and old age home can be get together? So there should be intergenerational interlinking should be promoted, very important thing. Second thing is about the now the cultural changes can be very wide spectrum in urban area. that you will not find that much of the isolation in rural area, but that was more prominent in urban area. So thing is that the urban population, due to the nuclear families and more peoples are there going out from their more than urban area to the migrating to the in search of their employment and other the job perspective. So when they have the income, the urban, the retired person have the income, but they feel the isolation because they don't have the social support systems are there. So there should be a mechanism. That's why I have suggested that the district, there should be a district support center where such cases to be addressed and issues wise, so that the possible policy implementations can be importantly implemented. Policies are there, but implementation is very poor. You will find there are crime against the elder and other things. So intergenerational interlink would be one of the major solutions.
Nice observation.
Sir.
ଆପଣ ଭାବୁଛନ୍ତି ଯେ ରୁରାଲ ଏରିଆରେ ଯେ ଥିବ ଆମ ଗାଁ ଜଙ୍ଗଲ ଭିତରେ ରୁରାଲ ଏରିଆରେ ଯେ ବୁଢ଼ା ବୁଢ଼ୀ ଯିଏ ଥିବ ସେ ଆସିକିରି ପୋର୍ଟାଲ ଦେଇପାରିବ?
No, see sir, there are two methods to...
ତେଣୁ ସେଇଥିରୁ ଆମେ କନକ୍ଲୁଜନ ଡ୍ର କରିଦେବା ଯେ ରୁରାଲରେ ସେମାନେ ଲୋନଲି ଫିଲ୍ କରୁନାହାନ୍ତି, probably it is too exaggeration. କାହିଁକିନା ଆମେ ରହିଛନ୍ତି ରୁରାଲରେ, most of us ଯେତିକି ଅଛନ୍ତି ବହୁତ ରୁରାଲ ଏରିଆ, ପ୍ରାୟ ସମସ୍ତେ ରୁରାଲ ଏରିଆ, ଇଭେନ୍ କଳାହାଣ୍ଡି ବି ଆଉ ରୁରାଲ ଏରିଆ। ଏଇଠି ଇମାଜିନ୍ କରନ୍ତୁ ଗୋଟେ 70-80 ବର୍ଷର ବୁଢ଼ା ଲୋକ, ବୁଢ଼ୀ ଲୋକ ଯାଇକି ସେ ପୋର୍ଟାଲରେ କମ୍ପ୍ଲେନ୍ ରେଜ୍ କରିଦେବ, ମୋ ପୁଅକୁ ପଚାରୁନାହାନ୍ତି।
See sir, there are two ways to register the complaint in CM portal. One is the offline mode and another online mode. So whatever the complaint...
Sir, ଆପଣ ନିଜେ ଭାବିଲେ ଆମେ କେତେ ଜଲ୍ଦି କରିବେ, କେତେ
See, sir, let me explain what actual grievance mechanism process. See, even when their GP level and block level grievance portals, grievance, the grievance sessions are there. And whether it is offline or online, everything has to be registered by the government in the CM portal. So that is, you cannot say that only those the cases registered through online is the study covering only online portal. It is covering both online and offline portal, and out of 300, the maximum sample has been covered around, out of 300, 184 from the rural area. So it is more urban but as we rightly pointed out, only loneliness is not in urban area. The study showed about 33 to 34% in the rural area also. But compared to rural area, urban isolation is much more. So if it is 33%, then urban area it is coming around 67%. So isolation is born there, but it will more priorities there in urban sector. The isolations and support system is not that much of even topmost priority, but in rural area you find the economic distress because they don't have the food and economic distress that is the primary concern of those people. They don't think that the social isolation is one of the important area. It is the feeling of the people. They feel that they are not getting the food, they are not getting the income sources, that in the rural area. But urban people, although they are isolation and that they need the support system, but they don't feel that is much more important for that. They more feel they should be eat healthy food, sufficient food that should be there. Thank you, sir.
Another question is asked.
Yeah. How can technology and digital literacy integrate into the social policy to enhance the quality of life for senior citizens? Thank you, sir. But thing is that two ways are there. When you're talking about the integration of technology, two ways are there. First thing, whether the senior citizen have that accessibility to technology. So that's why I'm talking about there should be, as you know, that support system of voice enable the grievance system should be there, or you can say that the GP level grievance system there, and each and every grievance system should be more vibrant. It is not that only grievance should be lodged and there should not be the redressal mechanism should be there. So government should take and track each and every grievance in a most vibrant way. So for the monitoring of the addressing the issues like the crime or about the social security approval, about the pension. So technology plays a very important role. But thing is that whether this technology enable is more user friendly for the elderly population and how it is accessible to that. As you know that more than elderly population around 70% are not, they are more access not friendly, user friendly to the technology, or they may not have comfortable the technology. So both mixing of the technology integration of the governance system and the local grievance mechanism should be strengthened. Only core dependency of technology will not solve the problem, but governance mechanism should be definitely supported with the technology driven initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Ghanshyam sir. So I now request Dr. Sujit Pradhan sir for making a presentation on revisiting the trend and the determinants of TEFP in Indian agriculture. Please sir.
Thank you, sir. Esteemed chair and co-chair, esteemed dignitaries of the dais and the students. Actually, in the plenary session, both the speakers were talking about growth rate. And one of the important sector that we are having is agriculture. As we all know, agriculture is the backbone of Indian economy. So the growth of agriculture is important. And two of the most important observations that are basically the scholars have found out in agriculture is there is an increasing share of tenancy, there is an increasing share of land under tenancy, and the second observation is there is a technological fatigue. Technological fatigue in the sense that the technology is not contributing to the growth. It has hit a plateau. So with these two observations, as they are also telling, the productivity is one of the important factor that is determining the growth. Can you go to this slide, please? First slide. So to measure the productivity, as both of the speakers were also telling, growth will be achieved only through productivity. There are many other factors of growth, but productivity is one of the most important factors. And productivity can be measured through, or productivity can be measured in two types. One is partial productivity. One is partial productivity, another is total factor productivity. Partial productivity basically it takes into account only one factor of production, so it does not give you a whole picture. So we can go to the total factor productivity, which gives you a whole of the production system, whole health of the production system. So total factor productivity is one of the significant determinant of growth. Next slide, please. Next, there are some studies which have shown that there is a high contribution of total factor productivity in agricultural growth. There are different scholars who have given the data, like it is 81% in 1980-89, and the last study shows that it is 66 in 1980 to 2008. So from these scholars, from this study, we can say that TFP is one of the significant factor in Indian economy or agricultural growth. Now, with this changing situation, as I was telling, with the increasing tenancy and with technological fatigue, now what is the trend of TFP? That is the basic question that we need to address. So, to get the trend of TFP, we have used the paper uses basically the growth accounting approach. There are many other approaches, but growth accounting approach, it needs minimum data. Further, as I move on to the next part, I have to use growth accounting because I need to contextualize the study with new determinant. What is the new determinant that I am going to talk about? It needs to use the growth accounting method. Next slide. So this is growth accounting and why I am using growth accounting next. So these are the data and variables. I have taken the crop sector basically. They measure crop like rice, wheat, jowar, and the inputs includes land, labor, consumption of fixed capital, irrigation, seeds. For many of the inputs or the data on inputs have been taken from KLEMS and the EPWRF data set. Next. So this is the TFP index that over the years it is declining. So with the calculation of total factor productivity, I repeat it once again, when I am with the growth accounting approach, total output index is calculated, total input index is calculated, and then we get the total factor productivity index. And the total factor productivity index is declining over the years from 1990 to 2019. Now, given this scenario, what are the determinants of productivity? What are the determinants of total factor productivity? Many scholars are talking about irrigation, high yielding variety seeds, irrigation, and then R&D. All these are the determinant of total factor productivity. But one of the paper by Chand and Dalgar, they use that institutions are important in defining the productivity, because institutions basically impact the production structure, and as I am using production structure, that is why I am using the growth accounting method or growth accounting approach. Now, what are institutions? Next slide. Next. So institutions are basically the rules of the game in the society. Rules of the games in the sense that the society has defined certain rules, like we are following the constitution. There are some formal rules, there are some informal rules. Constitution can be called as a formal rule because it is formally, or it is codified, or it is coded. And then the informal rule are basically, they are not codified. We try to follow it because it is a tradition or it is a custom or the social norms. So there are two types of rules that we have, formal and informal. But it is in the broad structure of the economy. But there are micro arrangement also, or micro institutions. Like if I am exchanging with somebody, then it can be, there are certain terms and conditions with which, on the basis of which I am going to exchange the goods and services. That can be called like institutional arrangement. So institutional arrangement also defines, or it also leads to different or multiple impact on output or growth. Next one. The previous one. So what I have done is basically the TFP is affected by these variables. There are many other variables, but what we have done is the rainfall, cropping intensity, credit, and all other variables are highly correlated. So what we have done is we have taken tenancy as a representative of institutional arrangement, and the second one is irrigation. Next one. Next. So this is the relationship between tenancy and TMP. Tenancy and TFP are negatively related. So what is the interpretation, or what is the reason behind tenancy and TFP, the negative relationship between TFP and tenancy is that higher is the tenancy, there will be lower investment. Lower investment in the sense that if I am the owner cultivator in the sense that I am owning the land and I am cultivating. So I can use more technology, I can use the resources more efficiently. But when I am leasing out the land to somebody, he may not use the land so efficiently, or he may not use the input so efficiently. And that is why the TFP and tenancy has a negative relationship, or there is an inverse relationship between TFP and tenancy. Next part. So this is also a simple regression that we have done. The TFP is a function of tenancy and irrigation, and tenancy is at 10% level of significance, it is negatively related to TFP, and the R square is 0.57. So it has basically a good model, goodness of it is considerable. Next slide. So the conclusion is that the TFP is negatively affecting the institutional arrangement, that is tenancy negatively affecting the TFP, and the declining TFP, it means there may be a rising cost, there may be technological fatigue, or the resources are not efficiently used. So higher is the tenancy, lower will be the productivity. That is what is the conclusion. Thank you. Next. Sir.
Thank you, Dr. Pradhan, for this nice. How is this tenancy method? Is this a primary database or secondary database?
Secondary database, sir.
So how this tenancy is measured?
Tenancy is measured leased in area. Leased in area in the sense that their NSSO and the agricultural census, they give the data that how many people are leasing out the land, leasing in the land, and the area leased in and leased out.
So this is secondary data. Also, that means India is the total.
Yes.
Data. Yes. So from there, how much land is leased in is your tenancy.
Yes, sir.
So that means
So the leased in area divided by the total area. So share of leased in area is basically the tenancy.
Leased out.
Sir, we are not.
For you, if it is leased in, for me it is leased out.
Leased out.
So why you have not taken leased out?
Leased out means like leased out can have different other, like if I am leasing in, So we are only talking about for agricultural purpose. Lease out means someone can lease out for any purpose. But what?
I can lease in for other purpose.
Yes, sir. But many other papers, they are not talking about leased out. So
See, many others paper, I would like to tell you that the very quickly, it's a very good word. But leased in also same story as leased out.
Yes, sir.
You can lease in. Then I will also use it for the same purpose. If it's leased out. Because my sample they are leased by
but in that sense, sir, it will be equal then. If I am leasing in, then it will be leased out. So both the leasing in and leasing out will be same. So
why have you not taken leased out?
sir, if I am leasing in, then it is leased out. So it is only the same.
Leased out is the tenancy. That's your tenancy variable.
Yes, sir.
Now come to graph. When you say tenancy, with increase in tenancy, total factor of block will decline.
Yes, sir.
What?
Because with increase in tenancy, like if I am leasing out somebody, if I am the owner cultivator, I can use the land efficiently. But when I am leasing,
There actually, of course, you can improve on it. There lies the crux.
yes,
Let's say the king of my one pattern of Raja, something do with it. उनका कितना जमीन होगा?
sir,
कितना जमीन? कितना भी लोग 100 एकड़ 200 एकड़ 400 500 एकड़ है ना?
yes, sir.
ये lease in करो तो lease out करो तो it's different. The statement which you made, if I am the owner of the land, that will increase the factor of profitability. May not be necessarily always.
Yes, sir.
It depends on the level or the amount of land you are holding. ଆମ ଦେଶରେ ଜମିଦାର ମାନେ ଗାଁରେ 1000 ଏକର ଜମି ଥିବ ସହରରେ ଘର କରିକି ରହିଛନ୍ତି ହେଲା that's a fact ତେଣୁ ସେଟାକୁ ଗୋଟେ ଜିନିଷ ପାଇଁ କଣ୍ଟାକ୍ଟ ରିଲେସନ କରିବ ବ୍ରେକ୍ କରିଦେବ ଏଇ ଲେଭେଲରୁ ଏତିକି ଯେ ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ଲ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡ ଥିଲେ ଏଇଆ ହେବ ଏତିକି ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ଲ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡ ଥିଲେ ଏଇଆ ହେବ ଏତିକି ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ଲ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡ ଥିଲେ
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, one point I would like to add is that this tenancy is basically we are talking about only tenancy. If there is a case of reverse tenancy, if large farmers are taking leasing in land from small farmers, then TFP may have it may have a positive impact on TFP. If the large farmers are leasing out land to the small farmers, they may not efficiently use it. And this is a trend that we are also looking out because people are getting educated. They are moving to either service sector or manufacturing sector. They are leaving the agriculture. So those who are having more land are supposed to be more educated, and that is why they are leaving they are leaving their land and they are leasing out the land to somebody, and they are small farmers. And that is why there may not be an efficient use of land or input. That is one reason that is there. In case of reverse tenancy, there may be a positive.
I shouldn't be promoting my paper, but we have written another paper, one paper on this.
Yes.
Climate change, total factor of productivity, institutional political, all that's something interesting. And we have done it at the district level.
Sir.
At the southern India. We have climate fluctuation, extreme climate will be there, institutions will be there, institutional political will be there. But South India, again, district level data.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, what is the way forward, right?
Yes, sir. Actually, we also don't know the way forward yet because we need to study more. Like this is a working paper, and there is a way forward that I was just trying to tell also in the conclusion. There is a scope for the study. TFP can be it can be decomposed into efficiency part and technology part, and we have not. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We have not done yet. We are going to do it, and then we can recommend something.
We know that agriculture is the primary sector.
Yes.
When I was in graduation in 1983, I looked at about 75% people depend on agriculture. Even now, only 70%. But in America, only 10% people depend upon agriculture, but their production is high, their production is satisfactory. But till now, 70% people depend upon agriculture, but our production is not satisfactory. Government has made a different types of rule and regulation. Till now, farmers are sincerely there and farmers are very poor. But why we know, government knows, everything know. But why we are not taking the proper steps to production for high and to increase to here?
I have the same question, sir. Like I have the same question to ask to everybody. Like, what is the problem that we are having? Like, if most of the farmers are in distress. Now, no worker in manufacturing sector mostly, and no worker in service sector are in distress. Farmer are only in distress. Now, why they are in distress is a problem that we need to grapple with.
So, the question was not directed to me. I would not answer actually. From his study, it looks, of course, he won't give such kind of suggestion. It looks no tendency, permanent tendency to everybody probably that will increase the problem. But that's also not a solution. Right? ଗୋଟେ ଜିନିଷର ଆଉଟପୁଟ୍ଟା ବଢ଼ିବା ପାଇଁ ଦୁଇଟା ଜିନିଷ ଦରକାର ଗୋଟେ ଆଇଦର ଆମେ ଇନପୁଟ୍ ବଢ଼େଇବା ଆଉଟପୁଟ୍ ବଢ଼େଇବା ଅଭାବେ ଇନପୁଟ୍ ସେମ୍ ଥାଇକି ଟେକ୍ନୋଲୋଜି ବେଟର କରିବା ଆଉଟପୁଟ୍ एग्रीकल्चर इनपुट बढ़ाया पाए तीटा जिंस गोटे मेन तीटा जिंस लैंड तार बढ़ाया पाए तो मैक्सिमम ए गोटा आया कुछ लैंड को पड़ा सेकंड टेक्नोलॉजी एग्रीकल्चर टेक्नोलॉजी को जो लेवल रे हमें यूज करबा से लेवल का पाई पारना काहे के जे देखना पार्टिसिपेशन ऑफ आवर लेबर फोर्स इन एग्रीकल्चर large chunk of our agricultural laborers or agricultural workers, laborers, workers are unfortunately they are not placed. They are missing in the system. Because ये कौन ये चाषी लोग ये धान बिहनटा को सजाई कर रखिला ये पैसा कोना में तो स्टेपलेशन और सस्टेन को परसिया से बन गवर्नमेंट जे बिल्डर चाष कला ताको में लेबर करबा किंतु ता स्क्रीन रे दानाटा सजाई रखला हम सेटा कर तेरो हम जो टेक्नोलॉजी का डेवलप होला जो जति भी हेइ हम इंप्रूव करिया में प्रोडक्टिविटी को इंप्रूव करिया में बढ़े करबा नहीं सेकंड टेक्नोलॉजी बढ़िया का टेक्नोलॉजी हम बढ़े छ अनफॉर्चूनेटली most of our technology is not friendly to the large of the labor those who are in position. Then tractor का हम हॉस्पिटल को चलो tractor से लोग चलो even spare कर ले they are not open. I'm not saying कि अमेरिका सोशल है but France में देखिए कि चलो हमारे सोच तो आसे it has lot of other factors socio-cultural psychological youth वाले बोलो ना हम system का slowly definitely you cannot think that overnight it can happen but it will definitely slowly happen and we need to hit at the right point. We need to first recognize, accept that age of jump of force in the agriculture sector are still now we not recognize. धान 500 डिवाइड के कंसीडर करें धान रे बाहर के अवसर धान कंसीडर से बाहर जोड़ा वन फ्रेंड तो बहुत बड़े काम वुमेन माने करते एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर रे जोड़ा ये लोग हाथ नहीं लगाड़े जोड़ा तो कंसीडर करते ना हाथ के ऊपर ना बट ना पूरा जीवन का सब के मस्त करे काम करते बट वो ना what is the western world where half of the labor force which is engaged in the production process are protected and encouraged through sufficient and better technology or gender friendly. Part of that, it's not complete external, it's part of that. But actually 75% are 95%.
75%. Sir, just to add to his point, during Green Revolution, it was successful because the technology was through inputs like HIV seeds, fertilizer, pesticide. Now, if we talk about the second Green Revolution, now where do we use the technology? We don't have the option now. Like you can have a tractor, but tractor is not used by everybody. So, where to develop the technology is a question. Now, how can we bring the
land fragmentation?
Now, where to get the second green revolution is a question now. Thank you.
Thank you, Sujesh sir, for a very nice presentation. I request now Manas Ranjan Nayak, lecturer in economics, Panchayat College, Dharamgarh, to make his presentation. Thank you.
Good afternoon all. My topic is on bridging the gap, addressing agricultural disparity in Odisha for a Viksit Bharat 2047. Next slide. Now Government of India vision is for become a developed nation by 2047 or Viksit Bharat. To achieve that, Indian government will have to target various things and milestone across multiple sectors. Government will also take various initiatives and policies to get that Viksit Bharat, that is our dream, and achieving Viksit Bharat, inclusive and sustainable growth is a crucial component or important concept to get Viksit Bharat. Among various targets, there is one target that is India the food basket of the world. And as this is the key goal of one of the key goals of Viksit Bharat, because of that, Government of India is targeting agricultural sector more and emphasizing more on agricultural sector. Next slide. Now come to Odisha. Odisha is a rice bowl of Eastern India with the in Eastern India, where many people depends on agriculture. They get their employment opportunities or livelihood from agriculture sector. Aligned with Viksit Bharat, Odisha government also prioritized agriculture sector and Odisha government allocated 37,838 crore in the budget 2025-26, which is 12% more than last budget. If you see in Odisha, in rice yield, some districts like Bargarh, Baleswar and Jagatsinghpur have a high yield rate, and some districts like Nuapada, Balangir and Jharsuguda have low yield rate. So this one is the agricultural disparity in yield rate. If you see inclusive growth for Viksit Bharat, we say that inclusive growth means that all the benefit will all regions, all the farmers and communities. But agricultural disparity is there, and it is the key indicator for both inclusive growth as well as for Viksit Bharat. We know high disparity means more districts have high yield rate compared to lower yielding districts. This imbalance becomes a major factor behind different problems like migration as well as socio-economic problems. So it is necessary to address the extent of agricultural disparity in Odisha to ensure balanced growth and inclusive development. Next. And my objective is to assess the extent of rice yield disparity among districts of Odisha and whether that disparity is increasing or decreasing over the time, and another one is to analyze the rice yield disparity between Kalahandi and Nuapada. My data set, I took 30 districts of Odisha and I collected secondary data through Odisha agricultural statistics for the year 1933 to 2022-23, and I took continuously data from 93-94 to 2022-3 for comparing Kalahandi and Nuapara. I used cluster analysis for measuring I used cluster analysis and descriptive statistics like averages and percentage to classify the different districts like good performing districts, moderate performing districts and low performing districts, and I used SPSS for clustering the different districts. So these are the data that shows from 1993 to 2022. This is not time series data. I take some years gap is there, and here one is for low performing districts, and 2 for moderate performing districts, and 3 for high performing districts. So we can see that in different years, different districts are in different rank or different cluster. So these are this data. Next slide. Next slide. These are also data. So I took all the 30 districts data and I divided them according to their performance. Next, previous. So this one is the first of all I divided all the 30 districts into 5 clusters, and after dividing them I separate them to low, moderate and poor performing districts on the basis of yield rate of their yield rate. So I say that good performing districts and moderate performing districts and poor performing districts. So here gap between good performing districts and more poor performing district is like it is in 1993-4 it is 604 kg per hectare, but it is increasing time by time. And if you see the percentage different between good versus moderate performing districts, it is you will see in that years it is averaging like 24% good performing districts are performing more compared to moderate districts, that is 24%. And if you see that is very crucial thing, that the difference between average good performing districts and poor performing districts, that is close to 59 all in every year. So it is the we have to see that where there is good performing districts and poor performing districts, percentage is increasing year by year. So we see that average rice yields of good performing and moderate and poor performing districts, the gap is like staying similar or what, but it is not decreasing. That is the concern. So this one is the rice yield gap between good and poor performing districts. So it is increasing like from 2011-12 to 2018-9 it is increasing, but in the year 2022-23 it is reduced less. And this one is the average comparison of good, moderate and poor performing districts, that is in percentage. We see that difference between good performing districts and moderate performing districts is staying same, but if you see difference between percentage difference between good and poor districts, it is increasing. That is like more than 50%, but is decreased in 2022 and 23. Now we come to Kalahandi and Nuapara. these two districts are adjacent districts before 1993, but after 1993, these districts separated. Though they have similar geographical area, but we see from 1993 to 94 to 2022-23, the productivity of rice of Kalahandi is every time is more than Nuapada. Only once, that is in like 2006 or 2007, the productivity of rice of Nuapada is more than Kalahandi. But in every year, the productivity of Kalahandi is more than Nuapada. So these are the results and discussion. I found that Nuapada, Sundargarh and Kandhamal, Jharsuguda, Jajpur, Devgarh and Balangir are struggling with their rice yield, but low rice yield. But if you see Sonpur, Bargarh, Cuttack, Balesar and Jagatsinghpur, they are performing well from 1993. But if I say as I am from Nuapada have always low rice yield, or some in maximum time the yield rate is Nuapada's yield rate is at bottom. So there is a high agricultural disparity is there, and I saw that sometimes some countries, some districts are good performing well, while some are among lower performing. But in the moderate performing districts are sometimes there is ups and down in their productivity. And there is a significant difference in the average rice yield among good, moderate and poor performing districts. It is either increasing or remaining constant. It is not decreasing. The gap between the average yield of good and poor performing districts is significant and continues to increase over time. The gap of average of good performing and poor performing districts is widening every time. Over the years, percentage difference in average yield rate between good and moderate performing districts has remained 24%, and the average difference between good and poor districts is remaining like approximately 49% higher than poor performing districts. And we know from last data there is significant difference in the rice yield rate of Kalahandi and Nuapada from those years 93 to 2023. Okay. And my suggestion is to government has to give emphasis on agricultural infrastructure as well as institutional factor. And another one is government has to give crucial to curb the corruption. As government is, Odisha government as well as central government is providing or doing different policies, but if you see in ground level, people are not getting the actual benefit. If government also providing different yojanas like Kalya Yojana and others, but actually they are not getting benefit from that scheme. That is, we have to curb the corruption and we have to see at the ground level. So at last there is we have paved the road for 2047. Government has earlier different vision or dreams like open defecation free, but we see in rural areas toilets are there, but no one is using that toilets. And if you see, government has also one dream that everyone will get Pakka house in the year 2022, but no one is that thing is also not done yet. So we have to, in order to get our Viksit Bharat, that is our dream, policymakers, researchers and farmers and industries, we have to come together to Odisha to become a develop in the context of agriculture, and we have to bridging the gap. We have to reduce the gap of disparities, where ensuring that every farmers, every districts, and every villages contributes to the our growth. That is the important concept. Thank you.
That are collaborative increasing. What is the reason for that? And besides that, the fuel in both districts, they are very active. And at present, government is supporting to influence to the farmers. Whether the farmers have taken advantage of that to reduce the gap present.
The main reason behind the disparities between Kalahandi and Nuapada may be irrigation facilities. If you will see Kalahandi, Indravati project is covering a large area of Kalahandi, while in Nuapada there is less irrigation. It is covering less to Nuapada, but in Nuapada that the water is going to other districts like Balangir. So in Nuapada, covering their less area, and because of that maybe low yield rate.
The mental rate and the overall disparities in the year 2023, it is in the year 2022 was 53, around 53, good and bad, and in the year 23 it is around 35. So why what are the reasons for such large reduction?
This may be because of government is focusing more on agricultural development, irrigation facilities, different different infrastructure facilities, like now government increased the MSP of rice, and maybe this. Yeah, maybe government's different policies is the main reason behind that. No. Thank you.
Hungry mind listens, but a hungry belly does not. Therefore, given the fact that all of us are hungry, so all of us started making a little bit of noise, so we'll try to quickly wind up in a minute. So what we saw in last three papers as well as in our previous plenary session, that India as well as Odisha is making a lot of progress towards reaching towards Viksit Bharat. But being an anthropologist and a grounded person who has been to field a lot, so what bothers us is this, the ground reality. Though statistically we have been saying that we have progressed a lot in agriculture, in industry, and in so many fields, what we found in the ground is that there is a lot of disparity is increasing, and the problems are multiplying day by day. So I won't bother you, but I will give you two very small examples from field. So we have been saying that we have achieved a lot in agriculture. And no, I am not giving the statistics, but go to the field and you will find out people are not even, they even do not know what MSP is. And what plays a vital role is the social institutions. I mean the middlemen, they take the middle chunk of it. And why don't we talk about those things? And when we talk about Viksit Bharat, if you are not able to talk about these social institutions, which plays a major role, then where are you going to live? Let me give you another example with little bit of statistics. India, and in Odisha particularly, contributes significantly to the mineral resources. For instance, we have chromite, which is kind of 98% of the national resource, nickel 95% in Odisha, bauxite 53%, iron ore 33%, coal 24%, and graphite 70%. In spite of all these, why Odisha is not making significant contribution so far industry is concerned? Is it not again to come back to the same question of the institutions? I mean, whether these big industries, they take away the major chunk of it, or it percolates to the local people. So that with those small notes, I thank all the presenters and patience audience for giving us a hearing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. R.K. Mahana sir, for chairing the first technical session wonderfully. With the successful completion of technical session 1, we are now going to take a break for lunch. Lunch will be served up to 2:45 p.m. at the designated area in front of library. I kindly request all participants to return to the hall sharp at 2:45 p.m. as we will resume with plenary session 2 followed by technical session 2. Let us ensure a timely start for the remaining session. Enjoy your lunch and see you all back there at 2:45 p.m.